Got 10 more seconds. Got 10 more seconds.
Let it warm up. Let it warm up. That's with your unofficial. That's with your unofficial.
Hey, my watch is official. Hey, my watch is official, man. Call this meeting of the Wichita County Commissioners order. It is 9 a.m. It is 9 a.m. Friday, February 17th, 2023. This is a Friday session that's going to be a little different from our normal Friday sessions in that the court will take action on a couple of items this morning. We're going to go a little bit out of order on the agenda today. Just we've got some guests that I'd like to let them get in and out. I know they've got other things to do, and so we'll tackle things in a way that'll try to most efficiently use everyone's time. So with that, we will move to what is item number 2 on the list, which is discussions with TABC regarding the possibility of leasing office space within the county courthouse. Commissioner Beecham, I believe this is your item.
I can give you a little background, but I'm not going to remember everyone's name, so I'm not going to try to introduce you all. Y'all can. You're essentially losing your lease of where you're at currently, and they came to approach us for the possibility of leasing a space within the courthouse. We will, when construction is complete on the first floor, have a vacant office that would be suitable for their operation. It would be the corner office out in the HR suite adjacent to the training room. It does have a public facing door into that main hallway. So it would be really conducive for their operation. I think it would be a good fit for Wichita County, but I'll let y'all go from there. So,
okay. So yeah, you want to come up to the podium, introduce yourself, and
Thank you, Commissioner, for facilitating this for us too. My name is Nicole Langley. I'm the major with TABC. I'm mainly stationed in Arlington, but I cover the Wichita Falls area, and I'm in the enforcement division. Today with me in the enforcement division, I have Lieutenant Roger Devine and Agent Carl McGee. He is your enforcement agent here in Wichita, boots on the ground, covering this in 8 other counties? 10 other counties. And then I have Regional Licensing Supervisor Sean Smith. He also is in Wichita, and he covers all the licensing processing, and he also oversees the licensing in Arlington area. So we appreciate the opportunity to come and speak with you. As you know, the state has moved to teleworking for some employees, a little bit more remote environment, and so we've been downsizing our offices. In Arlington alone, we're having to cut the office space 50%, which is a colossal loss of space with the employees I have. Here in Wichita, the leases come up for renewal in August, and we will no longer have a physical office in Wichita if we're not able to work out something, negotiate something, and see if we can have this use of space.
And where were y'all in Wichita Falls? In Fremont Valley?
Yes, on Indiana Street.
Well, we were in Fremont Valley back in the 90s. Now we're over here on
Am I not way behind?
No, that's okay, but that speaks to how long. You know, they've had a physical presence since the 90s and far before that. I think over 30 years they've had a physical office here. It used to be staffed with far more, but as we know, it's always cutbacks and things like that happen. So we're happy that we have a licensing supervisor here that can help with assisting and processing, and then an enforcement agent. That's tremendous for the community and the service for the people. Having this physical space would allow us to see citizens in the community and to have that visibility and have those office hours so they can actually come in. With everything going remote and online, it's great, it helps processing, it's efficient, but some people want to bring in a paper application. They still want to see a face and they want to talk to someone.
And that would come to your office, not the tax assessor collector?
Correct. For TABC's part of that application.
Oh, okay.
Correct. There's, you know, it kind of goes through the phases, right? The city has a part to sign off on, comptroller, and then of course TABC has their part of that.
Okay.
So that physical presence to service the community and have that face to face. I think here in Wichita alone, there's over 295 permits that TABC has. So it's quite a few. And then of course you have the outlying counties. So I don't know if you have any questions for me. I'm going to turn it over to the boots on the ground, the people that are here doing the work in your community. But if you have anything else that you'd like to ask of me.
Jeff just sparked an additional question for me. So when somebody comes to get a permit from your office, and they do actually go to the tax assessor collector's office at some point as well? Or do they? Or do they
For
have to
some
go to both?
licensing, they make application through.
Right. Well,
I
so-
see those on the list.
Let me turn that over to our regional licensing supervisor, Sean, and he can speak to that. In the enforcement division, we focus on the public safety aspect of it. We're law enforcement officers, certified peace officers. So let me change it over to him, and he can speak to the licensing and kind of walk you through that process, okay? Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. So we
If
have.
you would introduce yourself just for
Yes, I'm Sean Smith. I am the Regional Licensing Supervisor for Region 2 here in North Texas. I'm stationed here in the Wichita Falls office. And the application process, in September of 21, we went to a new online process called AIMS, Alcohol Industry Management System. So for the most part, everyone is beginning their application process online. And then they will, it generates an application summary that you then take to the city secretary, you take to the county clerk, the comptroller, and then the newspaper. They no longer really go to the tax assessor to pay. They will pay to ABC online, and then once we issue the permit, the cities and the counties get notice of a permit being issued, and then they'll send a bill to that permittee at that time. So they don't really walk into
So
the
they're
tax
not,
assessor.
they're not walking into the tax assessor?
Not,
Okay.
they haven't been going to the tax assessor for quite a while now, a couple of
Okay,
years
good.
now.
I had a secondary thought, but
Mm-hmm.
it's okay.
So yeah, like I said, like Major said, we've got 300 permits active here in Wichita County, and about 300 more on the outlying 10 counties surrounding us. And our presence here, if we were not allowed to stay here, folks would have to go to Abilene, Amarillo, or Arlington would be their next option to see a face-to-face with a TABC person. So I've been with the agency here in Wichita Falls for 14 years now. Do you have any other?
And you have a private contract with someone downtown right now?
Correct, yes, we have a lease in downtown in MWH building.
Okay.
Out of curiosity, why are y'all losing that lease? They have other uses for it, or?
Well, the budget constraints with the state, so they're downsizing us. That Arlington is cutting in half, and they're wanting to cut hours down as well, so they're asking us to find space somewhere.
How many people do you have in the office?
We
right
have two, myself and Agent McGee. is the-
So are they cutting, and this is maybe a question for both of y'all, you're not cutting the size of your office here, you're gonna keep the same two people in it?
Correct,
Are they just trying to cut out the expense of it?
yes, sir.
So, and that's my next question. What are y'all currently paying now? Do you know that?
That works out with our business services division in Austin, and so we don't have access to that. But we've been allowed to keep a presence in many counties, such as like Denton and McKinney. They give us free space, and of course, we're not asking for free. I know we talked about negotiations and terms, but in Denton and McKinney, they've allowed us free office space so we can have that physical presence. So it's just us trying to work with the community. We will maintain the same level of service regardless, because that's what we're here for. But it would give us that physical presence. So they're not having to drive to Abilene and Arlington.
And that's what I'm trying to get at. So the overall intent of this is trying to get free to cheaper space than what you have now.
Correct. And
Because
if that's-
I've had another state agency reach out to me also. And I was kind of surprised really, because the state has more funding right now than the county ever thought about having, but yet
You
they're
would
wanting,
think that.
they're wanting to get space donated. I was just curious.
Yes,
That's
you-
why I'm
You
finding
would
out.
think that. I think that they have to look at resources. This AIMS that we've built out for the public to try to expedite processing of applications, it's cost, how much, Sean?
Millions that they've
Of dollars
invested
from
in.
the state. So it's where they're allocating those funds, and that of course is beyond our reach. And so we're just here hoping that we can keep a foothold physically in the community.
Okay.
And
Thank you.
do you have any knowledge of the portion that the county retains on permit applications or tweaks that come along? Do you see
don't
that on
have-
an annual basis as to what kind of volume of revenue comes in from?
I didn't come prepared with those stats, but with 300 permits, yes, there is a big amount of revenue that's generated. And just depending on the type of permit determines how much is that revenue. mixed beverage permit, the county gets the first issue with $1,500 down to $750, and then your convenience stores, it's $60 every 2 years. So,
Right.
yeah, but for 300 permits, it's quite a lot of revenue.
You know, I'm all about keeping services available to the public, because I think that's one of the things we need to do. But I think the next question is, how does it fit in with our operations? Does it work? Will, do you have any, do we have any information?
Well, they've got a clear shot to that security pretty much. I would think it'd be a backup.
I mean, I don't want to sit up here and make a decision that's going to create a problem for somebody else, and I don't think it would, but you always have to ask.
Well, and we're not going to be taking any action on this today, so
Okay,
that's one of those
okay,
things we
good.
can.
We can research that.
Research.
It's
Very good.
informational
Yeah.
only today.
Is the plan to have regular office hours in this space, or would it be by appointment only? What's
Right now, we are appointment only on Wednesdays. We are physically there Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then appointments are on Wednesday.
Okay, so
To the public.
public access would be by appointment on 1 day a week.
That's how we are now.
Judge, I think Annette, our county clerk,
Oh,
has
yes, ma'am.
something.
I knew it would be beneficial for our office because we get the applications in as well. And we always have questions, especially with the new way y'all changed it. We still have questions today. So we always have trying to call and talk to you. Now we finally met you. But as far as customers as well, they come in and their applications are not correct a lot of times, and we just send them away when you need to contact them because we don't have the answers. So I think it would be beneficial to our office to have them here.
Yeah, and that goes to where I'm coming from, is how does it fit? How does it work? Does it make it better, or is there, I would assume there's benefits to.
Are there any synergy if someone like Annette's office was Monday through Friday taking those applications that you reviewed or called back in appointments on Wednesday? I mean, is there some way that we could intertwine that would make sense and potentially be better operation?
So you're meaning the applicant, we're open on Wednesdays, so they can bring TBC applications to the county on Wednesdays? Is that kind of
No, I mean, she's saying that people still come and make application with their office. I guess that will always continue just the same, right? But you don't schedule appointments to review with anyone until Wednesday.
At the moment, yes.
Okay.
Appointments on Wednesday. And this is, in COVID, everything shut down, and then we finally started opening up to Wednesdays. In Arlington, it's Tuesdays and Thursdays. Here it was just 1 day a week, Wednesday.
And there are several state offices now that are running under that same deal that I've run into in the last few months. That's not unusual.
Right.
Yeah, I had a meeting, we had to meet on the sidewalk.
Oh, that's right.
I do have another question on the enforcement side. It's been a long time since I worked with TABC, but do y'all still, as the enforcement side of it, would you still be working out of the office?
Yes, sir.
Would you be coming in and out to that office after hours?
I come in and out. Some days I work more of a daytime shift, so I'm in during the daytime, even if Sean's not in the office. Then other times, especially towards the weekends, I'm out much later
Right.
during the bar hours. So I may come in and out of the building at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. I may be coming into the building at 2 or 3 a.m. in the morning.
And that's what I remember with TABC. They're in and out of their office. I didn't know how you were utilizing it now. That's why I was asking.
I'm in there some days doing paperwork and catching up on things, and I'm out doing my inspections on 10 counties or out running, undercover operations or monitoring somewhere that I may be coming into the office, at 2 or 3 a.m. to do some paperwork before the end of my day. So I kind of have in and out hours.
And the reason I'm assuming that y'all would like to have it in the courthouse is you do away with a bunch of overhead. You don't have to worry about security. You don't have to worry about a lot of different aspects of it. I mean, in the big scheme of things.
Right, and it makes it easier for me to work with the DA's office and stuff when I'm filing cases
Right.
and everything.
And would y'all access that, where Mark's talking about currently, there's access to those doors down there. Did y'all view that or see that? You wouldn't actually have to come through, I guess, the main security portion as you would the
During
back.
the day, you probably would.
Yeah, during the day.
Yeah,
After
During the
hours.
day, you would, just after hours. You would.
just after hours and stuff, our access card would just need to be programmed to allow us to come in and out
Right.
during those after hours and stuff. 'Cause
Do you-
I used that door many times. I was at the sheriff's office here, so I'm very
Right.
familiar with that back entrance.
Well, do you have the need to, do you ever confiscate a lot of stuff that you have to tag in? Or?
I do have stuff I have to confiscate and tag in and keep it till I can get down to Arlington. But also for me is when I'm out doing investigations is I may need to do interviews and stuff. So a place I can bring people in to sit down and, you know, do interviews and maintain case files and things until I turn everything into the DA's office or take it down to the regional office in Arlington.
I see.
We're right there pretty adjacent to those Zoom rooms, so it would
Right.
be really conducive for that operation too, so.
Well, in defense of Commissioner Watts, I think you're a lot more aware of where the TABC is when you're a teenager, rather than.
Well, that's who we grew up with. I mean, we.
You knew where it was.
Yeah,
when-
that's
yeah,
right.
there you go.
They came to all the rodeos, and it
And
was
you knew who all the guys
Yeah,
were.
and-
It was
yeah.
ABC back then.
Yeah.
we went to school with a lot of those kids, and that they were just someone we knew. You know, they had a
Yeah,
presence
in the
around
community.
us all the time.
Knew their kids.
Yeah.
Went to school with, yeah.
There's not as much a presence nowadays.
No, I'm
Not at all.
I mean, it was when I first started, 4 or 5 agents plus a sergeant up here to, yeah, I'm the only agent up here and I cover 10 counties
That's
up
amazing.
here.
Do we know who the business contact is that we're working with?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, it's, Luis, and I can get you his, email and cell phone and all that information. And you're exactly right, we would have evidence that we would need to occasionally, secure as well. You're very in the know on that. And it is unfortunate, it is unfortunate that we do not have more of a TABC presence, but we still have a sergeant in Arlington that brings his team up here. I think it was October, wasn't it November? They spent a night, they did some operations all weekend. You know, I have 7 agents right now in the city of Dallas to cover the entire city of Dallas. So it's just, we're shorthanded. I think I'm under 14 in my whole area. So it's just, hopefully we can keep recruiting. Thank
So
you.
evidence-wise, is it large amounts? What would it, space-wise?
It varies, it wouldn't have to be anything super large that I have to, you know, store, because I try to get it down to Arlington as quickly as I can and stuff.
Yeah,
You'd just be stored in your office anyway, wouldn't you?
Just be storing it temporarily till I can get down to
As
Arlington.
long as it's locked up in his office, it's fine until he goes to the evidence.
yeah. I'll just, never mind.
Not
Make sure we
utilizing
didn't
any
need that
evidence
permanent
that we
space.
need.
Well, I mean, there's an evidence vault in the vicinity.
And also too, what I've done in the past, thanks to the sheriff's office, when I've had some stuff that just needed to be really secured until I can get it to Arlington, the sheriff's office was kind enough that all I have to do is contact them. I'll take it out. They're secured in their evidence room with their evidence people until I can
Okay.
pick it up from them
Gotcha.
and take it down to Arlington. So they've worked really good with me on a couple times I've needed assistance on
Okay.
some bigger stuff.
I think it'd be a great fit, and I mean, I'd like to see us try to get something worked out, so.
Thank you.
Add an extra law enforcement presence down on the first floor for sure.
That's true.
Okay, anyone else? Any public comment on this agenda item? No one by Zoom, I'm guessing. Oh wait, y'all are running that. Anyone by Zoom? Okay. All right, thank y'all very much for what you do and for coming here and speaking with us this
Thank
morning.
you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you for driving all the way down from Arlington.
Absolutely. And I'll get you that contact with business services.
Great.
Great.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate you.
And y'all are welcome to stay and watch
Yeah.
what's going to be an exhilarating Friday. But if y'all have other things to do, you are more than welcome to.
Well, we appreciate it. We're gonna go assess the space we have now. So.
Okay.
Thank you, gentlemen,
We're
for your
gonna count
time.
bottle
Have a good
caps
night.
after a while, so you'll want to be here for that.
Tanya, is Sonia down there?
No, she has,
She's not there.
sick.
She's out.
Okay.
She's out. All right, next item we're gonna do, it's on here as item number 4. Discussions regarding the county courthouse serving as a drop-off location for the Junior League of Wichita Falls annual food fight charity event, supporting the Wichita Falls Area Food Bank. Had asked someone from Junior League to be here to discuss this and make the public aware. Unfortunately, we weren't able to make it, so we're just gonna move this item to next week. All right, next item number, it's on here as item number 6. It's ought to be item number 3 for us. Discussions on the potential purpose of a Vail drum shredder, Loftiness oil cooler, and a severe duty door for Precinct 5. Commissioner Watts, I believe this is
Yes.
your item.
We, right now in our county is a contracting group working for TxDOT that is sawing brush off the right of way, cleaning up for those mower crews to come later on. And they're laying that brush down in the easement and then coming back with their skid steer and pulverizing, mulching that debris up. And we have on order right now the John Deere skid steers that would be conducive for us to use for this project. On top of this project ties into 7 as well. We have requested that we get some help through grant funds for the purchase of this Vail drum shredder. And so the total cost of such a equipment as what's in item 6 is just at $48,000. And we have requested grant funding of $20,000 to help offset that cost. The only thing that I really need to take immediate action on in a short period of time is we can save about $1,500 by putting that severe duty door on at the factory as that thing is being completed, instead of having to put it on after delivery. And so it wouldn't affect if we decided not to use a drum shredder and upgrade oil coolers. It wouldn't affect a thing. As a matter of fact, it'd just be safer. But it does save us a little bit of money, about $2,300 versus $3,500, I believe, what the difference was there.
We just harden the glass in the door. Is that
Yes, it's
That's
a
ballistic
stronger,
resistant.
shatter resistant type.
the
glass.
side windows remain the same?
Yeah.
Those, yeah, they don't,
They don't come to the.
that grinder throws wood at such a rate that it'll kill the driver if you don't have that. It's gotta be ballistic resistant.
And I've been able to get to watch it work several times, and it's just impressive. It sure cuts down a lot of the labor that we currently use to do this, but
Yeah, it's a labor-intensive project.
yes, it is, and this takes all of that out of it. These are 2 guys down here working this whole area, easements for TxDOT, and they just move straight along. They've been sawing for a while, and then they'll come back. They run 2 saws, and then they get on 2 mulchers, and it's really been interesting. So,
Are you thinking we need to do this anyway, just the grant nicely ties in with it?
yes,
Okay.
we qualify under source reduction category in the grant that we can, instead of carrying brush to the landfill and filling space, we just mulch it on site and be done with it.
Okay.
And we have the ability to grind on site, but a lot of times we're stationary. We blow it in the pile. We've got to move it at that point. It's not anything that can be left at location, and it's a manual feed on our grinders that we own today. So we can mulch material, but it's a more labor-intensive process.
Really labor-intensive.
Yeah, and we still will have certain
Yeah.
things, like you have bridges that you can't get this equipment to, or whatever, and that you'll set up and do that, but this eliminates a lot of that.
Judge, one of the things we see just about every time we go out and we scout roads all week, every week, looking for, signs and things that need to be, is these intersections that get blocked by brush it's just an ongoing problem. It grows out, you gotta go trim it off, and, we don't really have the help to go do that on a full-time basis, but this would make that a whole lot better.
Yeah.
We'd be better off for it if we can run
Now,
it.
when you get by me, the grain elevators south of Iowa Park, that curve can grow up with mesquite hanging over into the easement, and it's been that way for quite some time, and it really limits your view as who's coming around the curve, and of course there's a yield and or a stop and a split off right there occurring. But they came in and sawed that so it's parallel to the fence, and I mean it gives that visibility so much more, or you the ability to see so much better.
You know, I got roads like Riverview that the trees encroach the
Yes.
roadway the whole length, and
Oh,
we
yes.
spend 2 weeks out there every other year doing just this, and
That's one road.
that's one road.
And that's why, this is just only one part of something that we'll end up having to buy a tractor with a boom on it to be able to, and that's one thing right now, even with our guys going out cutting, we don't have any bucket trucks or anything, so we can only cut up to head high. That tractor will actually, you know, cut those off more like a forestry service would do in the more tree country,
Yeah.
but, you know, keep a nice smooth cut up there on the trees.
And I just didn't encumber all of that into this grant. I just felt like it was, you know, a single piece of equipment that far exceeds what we're asking for in cost, but it was a way to underwrite that. And there is a resolution that just indicates that we're willing to participate in the grant. That's set aside in item 7.
Okay.
One other quick thing, I'd like to remind me, because I probably want to get a hold of John Deere and upgrade my window before that tractor of
Okay.
mine gets here.
Well-
Because there's no reason not to upgrade it, because if we're using that in precinct 5 and
Sure.
it breaks, and we need to finish throughout,
That's right.
finish a job,
You're
we
right.
could finish it with mine, even without the oil cooler on there. If
Let
we're
me
not
just
running
put
it all
those
day.
door upgrades on the 27th agenda, and then we can just go ahead and approve those and get them both done while they're being built.
Your machine will already have an upgraded oil cooler on it.
No, but it could,
Well,
it
yeah,
could,
it will.
it has it upgraded over the Cat right now, but it won't have the
It won't have this
but it is an
extra.
upgraded cooler from what we have right
Yeah,
now.
it is, it's,
I think it would probably run it, but it might not run it 12 hours a day.
Right.
and when it's 105 outside, it probably wouldn't, but then that's probably not when we're gonna be doing this anyway, so. Yeah.
But
it-
that's
it
what
is an
he was
upgrade.
just telling me, we can save some money by letting the factory do it instead of them doing it. getting
I just
it.
need to, I probably need to change that
Okay.
on mine, because there's no reason not to. Because if you'd be in a bind if you only have one machine that'll do
Okay.
it.
Well, so that's what we'll do. We'll just ask for the glass door upgrade on the 27th, and I guess we could wait and see on the how we stack up on the grant as to whether we wanted to, you know, move forward immediately or maybe
Sure.
wait till next year, whatever the case be.
Okay.
So,
Are there any public comment on item number, that's our item number 3, discussions on the potential purchase? Okay, then let's move on to our next item, which is number 7 on the agenda. A resolution to apply for solid waste grant funds through Nortex Regional Planning Commission.
And I did talk to Adam yesterday at Nortex and told him that if this resolution approved, I'd bring him, the application was about 35 pages. And so time we put our other additions into it, so I would drop that off. There are other towns that apply. There's no guarantee we'd get the whole 20,000. But that's, I think it's this money is generated through trash being received at the landfill and a tax being added on for every ton of trash generated. And so these funds come from our own landfills here, so.
Yeah. And I know that a lot of times Wichita County, I've seen those Nortex grants when they decided those come out, has not been a party to them, so it's good for us to have an application.
Right,
in
and
there.
if you hadn't reminded me, it had never crossed my mind. You got that notice somehow.
Yeah, no, I think it's good. We will need to, if there's a motion made on this, we'll need to change a little bit to approve it, for the court to approve it and to authorize me to sign the application, I believe. Let's see. Yeah.
So,
Motion to approve and judge to sign.
yeah, second.
Okay. All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Mahler to approve the resolution to apply for solid waste grant funds through North Texas Regional Planning Commission and authorize the county judge to sign the resolution. The motion's been seconded by Commissioner Watts. Do we have any public comment? All right, all those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. Okay.
And Commissioner, you can upgrade your skid steer without any action, can't you? Can't you just
I think
upgrade
I can upgrade it.
Yeah. So that-
I don't
that
know.
is a good idea.
If we've already got a PO made at a certain dollar amount and I change
Yeah,
it,
if it goes over the amount that has already been authorized by the court, we will need an amended court order.
yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Let's just do that on the 27th.
Yeah.
Just a
Well,
consent
we'll-
agenda item
Yeah, it's a
on the change.
I don't remember what that dollar amount was either, Cheryl. I don't
Well,
want
he
to,
quoted us, yours was about 25, and ours was about 55, because of the difference in trading.
yeah, it's only 2,500.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll still be we'll just need to change the dollar amount. Okay.
All right, our next item is number 1 on the agenda. It's number 5 for us today. Review, discuss, and approve regular bills.
We're not gonna have a quiz over which number was which.
Probably.
No, I'm probably just confusing people, but, and I apologize for having to jump
No.
around, but
That's the way to do it. Oh, there it is. I thought it was on Wednesday. I
Wednesday.
looked at them earlier, and I always have a hard time going back and finding it, but there it is. It's there.
At least I don't feel quite as bad here. Your gas bill is a lot.
I heard
So,
this.
we got a purchase from GT Distributors for Constable. Shouldn't the Constable be on the same purchasing plans that Sheriff's Office is? We not get them on the same portal?
I'm sorry,
I mean, there's some purchases from GT Distributors.
GT is usually your weapons and ammunition.
That, they don't do that?
That's not Gauls.
Okay. Gauls does not do the
Any
It's all
firearms or any?
handcuff pouch.
Oh, yeah, Gauls does that stuff
Yeah.
too, yes. That's who we.
What I'm
buy.
asking,
Yeah.
should we not put our constables on the same portal? Or,
It would make, I mean.
It would make
should.
sense.
I mean, they'd have to go in there and if they had different uniform requirements,
yeah,
we'd have to, but we also market where they can only get certain uniforms.
Right. And Cheryl, do we give them the stipend as well?
Yes, they have a uniform allowance for, not the constable himself, like any of his deputies get the uniform allowance. The constable himself can use his budget directly,
Okay,
kind of like the sheriff, because
Okay.
they're not employees.
okay.
Well, y'all do all the ammo, don't you, for everybody?
Yes.
I thought so.
We order everybody.
Okay.
it just seems like it would make good purchasing sense if we're all buying from the same source.
Technically, it would be the two in precinct 1.
Yeah, this is a precinct 2 purchase.
Do we buy, because his is it reserve or part-time
I don't know, it's,
deputy? Because, Jared would be if we don't buy the elected official stuff, that's what she said.
Yes, that's correct.
yeah, this is like a handcuff pouch and a flashlight holder.
Well, again, is it for his, is it for a reserve deputy or for him, and then are we buying reserve deputies or constables equipment?
Right, right, cause he's got that reserve deputy that's, not on payroll, you know, he's just volunteer, and so we can't give him a uniform allowance, he has to use his budget directly to just buy it.
So then that would go back to where, so it would cancel it, you couldn't buy it for him and can't buy it for the,
Yeah.
we should be paying that bill, basically.
What he's saying is elected official we don't buy it for, and the
And
reserve we
buy
don't buy it for. So,
so should we tag that bill and for questioning?
That would be up to y'all.
You certainly can.
Boy, this autopsy deal's getting big again.
It's on the front, first group, so GT distributors,
$281.
281, 19, and 22.98.
I would assume this number I'm looking at
That's a whole
is,
gun bill. I mean, that's a whole bill.
I'll get some
Is that
belt,
what they
handcuff
read?
pouch, mag pouch, yeah.
The whole duty rig,
Yeah. About $300 more.
yeah, I mean, that bill technically should be paid, if I'm understanding her correctly too, so.
Will,
Leadership business cards be paid, but
Go ahead.
never mind.
Well, again, we know where we're from, so.
I mean,
Will, your rubber
pull it out.
gloves
Haven't
come
pulled it
from
out.
Bob Barker?
Some do, I believe.
Is that a price-wise,
supposed to
that's
be paying
the
it, I'd
place?
like
I noticed my guys were buying, from the sign company, the heavy duty, they use them to grease with, you
Well,
know?
ours is just your medical grade rubber glove.
Do you carry a heavier grade?
We may have a few in our ID van for when we're out picking up.
Do you know where they come from?
I do not.
I just wanted to check prices and see.
You know, we were fortunate for COVID, we got our hands on quite a few cases of gloves, so we didn't buy gloves for a while, but we've gone through them now, so. But again, ours is just medical grade for when we're dealing with inmates. They do rip pretty easily.
So Commissioner Beechams, did you want to remove check number?
Let's just see why,
Okay.
who it was bought for, and what purpose.
So he wants to pull it down.
So he wants to pull down check number 237381 to GT Distributors, just to get more information on it.
There's actually two. Let me go back to it. They're side by side.
It's one check.
Yeah, it's
Oh, it's
one
one
check.
check. Okay, oh, I'm sorry,
Present.
sorry.
Yeah.
I'll give two invoices. Sorry, never mind.
Brendan, I've got a question for you. At Precinct 4 in Electra, our offices, the alarm system travels over a Hillary Communications line, a 495 Electra phone number. I pay that bill, but it's not the number you would call. If you did call that number, it'd ring Debbie's desk, but it's not the number people call to get a hold of us. Is there a way to use the number they get a hold of us to let the alarm travel so I can do away with that line?
I have to look at it and see
Okay.
how it's set up. I don't think I can answer that without
Okay.
looking at it further.
Okay. It's just about 50 a month, but it still adds up.
But Mark, going back to your Gauls question, it really should be the two constables in precinct 1, the deputies that would be access to Gauls.
Okay.
But if they set up a portal with the selected stuff in there, those constables themselves could order through that portal and just bill to the county, right? If they had an ID code or whatever.
Yes, that is correct.
Yeah.
That way they could stay uniform specific.
Yeah.
Seems to make sense that that's how we would want to do that. Sorry.
$100.
Where's the jar?
Used to be $1, but inflation.
Margaret, you may need to speak
That's
up a
big
little bit.
inflation. Worse than Biden.
Who may?
Margaret?
Oh,
I don't hear Margaret.
Well, I heard
She's about to
something.
be unmuted.
Oh,
oh, she muted.
bear with us, Margaret.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, I was trying to talk earlier. I'm sorry, no one could hear me.
We had you muted.
I know, you're like. First, I want to tell Commissioner Watts that the last gloves that were ordered for the jail were from Empire, and I believe that Stacy McCray told me that they were good, so you might check with her and
Okay.
see if they like them.
Okay.
And then, I'm sorry, what other questions did you guys have?
I don't, that was it, Margaret, really, I think, right this second.
Did one of y'all write down to pull down that check that the judge mentioned?
Yep, we got
Okay.
I have it too.
Okay.
I had heard earlier this week that inflation is trending lower, but I'm not seeing it in this list of bills that I'm going through there.
It's under control.
Under control would be the proper term.
Just a curiosity question, Will. I see we pay Midwestern State University for jailer testing.
Yes.
Is that the written?
That's the extra state test, they'll monitor sites there.
Okay.
You have to have a state approved site that's monitored, and you can't just do it anywhere.
Yeah, they have, agent, and then that's also recorded.
They have like a regular testing center, don't they, where they do
Yes.
that stuff? I
We
was
have to
thinking.
schedule it ahead of time to use it.
Right.
And those 8 new employees that you talked about last week?
There's only 2 now, so don't worry about it.
Well,
All
he
of them
saw
made it?
He saw 8.
I saw 8 when I was out there on Wednesday.
They won't test until they go through the jail school itself, so we just finished the jail school. And, actually we have another one next month. We've hired, sporadically, so now we've had to catch up. 'Cause we have 1 year to get them through the jail school.
Okay.
From the time we hire them.
Most of them don't make it that long.
This is a good group. We hope.
But we did start 8 this week.
Will, how does, Lee from Aramark brought us by cards so we could look at that menu at the jail and we scanned the code, and do you think there's any possibility that if we had orders that they would drop them off when they do the juvenile drop, like for lunch?
Could be, yeah.
I would think even if they left it at security and everybody just picked up, had the name on it, you're prepaid, so it might be a boost of business for them.
It is a little bit, but again, you're talking about the time it's cooked, put in styrofoam, brought out here and set.
It might be
We still
down.
need to just make a time to have a lunch out there after a Monday
It might
session.
be in that styrofoam an hour or two before
Oh.
you get to it, so.
Okay. Keep that in mind.
Yeah, maybe we'll probably head out there to.
Yeah.
Yeah. When y'all do that, where do you pick it up at? Where, do you go to the
When if they order, I know sheriff orders the tacos, the chicken salad, whatever
Right.
it is. They'll give him a time frame, so he'll be ready in this time frame, he just walks in and picks up. So
Okay,
they know, it does not set very long at that point.
gotcha.
Well, I'm sure if the sheriff's picking it up, They don't put his set in. Might be a little different for you, Jeff.
When the purchase cards start to be used by individual departments, how will those show up when we're looking at bills? Will they be?
It'll be on the credit card bill.
Okay.
Yeah.
Still having to get used to this voice from above.
And Will, when I see these oncologies, and it says physician, what's generally occurring there?
Oncology,
Yeah,
they're getting treatment for maybe blood infusions or other type of treatments. And we're having to take them for their treatments.
it seems like the high side would be less than $275, and then it goes down all the way to like $35.
Yeah,
But it's a lot of oncology.
yeah, I'd have to track it back to the inmate and see what the medical is on that inmate to see why they're going and what they're receiving.
But y'all actually go to the
We have to
oncology?
take them to United Regional Oncology.
Okay,
Are those on the jail side or are
Be
those
on the jail
indigent
side.
health?
that's a
They
good
could,
question.
they could be either.
Mr. Watts,
Yes,
they usually have a deal that they've made for people who need like a dialysis, and that would be the one on the higher side.
okay,
And every other service would be at the indigent healthcare rate.
okay, gotcha.
And the dialysis should show from the dialysis center. We take them over there. I don't think we have anybody right now that we're taking dialysis. I do know we have someone we're sending it over to outpatient. That must be what his oncology call is. They actually had one that was on dialysis. They wanted to bring to jail the other day. The city did it on a criminal trespass. We refused them. It's expensive for the county to take
Well,
them
yeah.
on a Class B misdemeanor.
Just watch
Sure.
your buildings.
And this may be a question I need to reach out to Mr. Wolf on, but I saw we've got, it looks like we may have 3 juveniles at Grayson County
I have no.
Per judge's orders.
per judge's orders.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's how they end up there. I've brought that up a time or two, and I don't know how often, but I think quarterly they're reviewed to see if, because they're quite expensive.
Yeah. Okay.
But we have a court order and order of placement from a judge for every juvenile at every facility. There's more than one facility, actually.
Right.
Yeah, so we've got, it looks like a couple of Pegasus as well, so. Okay.
Be nice to have them in the house there.
Yeah.
There's always reasons.
Yeah.
It's expensive too.
All right, y'all still looking through?
No, I'm at a good place, so I'm through.
Yeah. Guess I'll entertain a
It's
motion
one
to
building as well?
We approve them?
approve
Motion
payment
to approve.
Second.
with the one taken away.
Yeah.
Your Atmos, is that just on one building as well?
Well,
That's
it's 2, but it's.
Okay, sorry. Motion has been
That's the
made.
second one for you, Commissioner Buchanan.
I know, I was looking at Mark's, and his is about the same dollar amount, so maybe
Did you get the email that I sent you with the letter from Atlas?
just saying that they checked it and it was right.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm
So I'm
gonna,
still holding that check, and now we have another one. It only concerns me because I don't want yours to
It's
be
a-
suspended.
yeah, I
But we
do,
did look at the history, and you're pretty close to where you were last year for that time period.
Yes, sir.
He's just being Chinchy, Cheryl, and Margaret.
Okay, well, when
I
it
mean-
gets cut off.
I mean, a $900 gas bill is pretty high for a, for somewhere you don't live.
Yeah.
Well, get them boys out on the road working today.
I told them we're doing away with all the heaters and the trucks and you're not a piece of equipment, you're gonna be cold.
Okay, someone's channeling Commissioner Griffith there.
But if y'all haven't got go ahead and pay them. I mean, I'm wanting to pay them, but
Okay,
I just wanna pay attention to it, enough that we might go ahead and shut everything off and put a test on our lines and make sure everything's right,
yes, sir.
so.
All right, we have a motion to approve the bills with the exception of that one check that we pulled down by Commissioner Fincannon, seconded by Commissioner Beecham. Do we have any public comment? All right, the motion has been made. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. All right, our next item, which is number 8 on your agenda, 6 in your hearts, is discuss, consider, and/or take action to approve M&F Litigant Wichita County Annex 2022 renovations proposal request number 5 to modify exterior EIFS, cut existing angles at expansion joints, and delete caulking of the expansion joints as they will now be covered by EIFS at a cost of $12,340. This expense is within the allotted contingencies. Commissioner Beecham?
Yeah, this is a buildability issue that, if I'm not mistaken, they've already started, even though we haven't approved it, so.
It was
What-
kind of due to the unlevel bricking.
It's a combination of things. It's that, and the bigger thing is the old metal expansion joints that were on the exterior that ran from the columns up to the roof line. In looking at the building, it wasn't all that noticeable, but none of those expansion joints were centered on the columns. Some of them, one of them might be centered, one of them might be all the way to the left, one might be all the way to the right, one might be somewhere in between. So when we were building the faux columns up, there was no way to deal with that other than remove them completely and then cover them completely.
Is it a structural issue or is it just aesthetic?
It's yes and no.
Structurally,
Structure-
they're not, it's not the expansion joint will remain, but where it sticks out, it doesn't need to stick out. And the problem is they stick out a variety of an inch to about 3 or 4 inches.
They're not
And-
uniform at all.
No.
Nothing
they're
is
not
uniform.
uniform at
'Cause
all.
the brick is
And
like
the brick
this.
is wavy, and to try to, when we decided to bring it back to the old facade, that, to make it look like the old building looked, there were columns that went up, and now this metal expansion joint that sticks out is going through and not on and in and out and around these columns that we're trying to create.
In other words, nothing was square, level, and straight and centered. So in
No.
order to square, level, straight, and center it, this was needed.
Maybe they just didn't make.
But these are all on the exterior of the building
Yes.
Yes.
that were visible when the quote was done originally? Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, but
That's-
until you get out there and actually, try to level it up, you couldn't see. Driving by, looking at it, walking by,
Yeah, I
looking at it,
couldn't
you just
hope
didn't
that.
tell it until it was into it.
And this is also going to sort of lead into the next item when we talk about it larger, but by my just looking at it, this is, if the court approves this, we'll end up with $60,000 left in the contingency allowance that started at $150 for the annex, and it's not really even going yet. Is that, are my numbers right there?
That's correct.
Yes, that is correct.
And there's already been 4 change order contingency stuff prior to this one, because this is number 5.
Yes.
My whole deal is, what was the original estimate to do the exterior? Do you know, roughly, ballpark?
Start over what?
The rough estimate to do the exterior of that building?
We didn't have a specific we had overall everything estimate, but we didn't identify just an estimate for the exterior.
Oh.
And the exterior scope has changed significantly when we
Which is the
brought
big
in,
change order. That's,
when we brought in the idea to make it look like the old building, that changed that,
Change the price of the
Exterior.
job a lot too.
yes.
And Glenda, where those pillars are indicated on our design, Mark's telling me somewhere higher, there's stars. And I'd asked him, you know, there's a footing or
Oh, is that your prior
a
four?
bigger pillow foot when that pillow hits the sidewalk kind of thing.
Right, to call
And
it.
I was asking him about, was there any way to, or is that a bad place to put anything that, does it get beat up or abused badly or?
I mean,
It's just,
you, for like a star, another star down
Yeah, I was
lower or
thinking
something,
about an
or is-
emblem or something
see-
that just made the foot stand out.
You could do something like that easily, you know, either,
Are those stars pretty good size that are,
they come in all sizes. They come in, we're using some smaller ones where they used to have a big long canopy that was sticking out and had the wires
sometimes
that
you just,
put back in the
guy wires.
basically a big bolt.
Support,
Yeah, support. So instead of having wires that go back and then that support, that big bolt that's there, we're putting stars along those locations to try to do that. Those will be smaller ones, and then we've got some larger ones up top. We could easily put some bigger ones down low, but
no,
anything that
I
you
just
put
wanted
down
to,
low-
I think the stars make it stand out and I think if you got them there anywhere,
Are they metal?
Yes.
Thought they were.
It's not called.
it'll
It's
really
called-
enhance it. I think it'll make
It's
it.
gonna be a beautiful building.
Isn't it interesting that
we don't need to add any more.
Yeah. We're going back to the
just
original
seems like
look,
that's
and
something
at
that
some
we've been
point,
seeing.
somebody spent a lot of money to change that over to something else, and now we're going back. We need to make note of that when we move forward.
Yeah, I'm gonna say, look at this courthouse.
And I still cry when I look at old pictures of this courthouse and realize what we had and what we went to. I mean, my goodness, that ought to be, somebody should be arrested for that. But I just thought we, as a society, we need to make note of this, is because we're spending money on both ends to get right back where we were, so.
Well, bell bottoms are back too, so I mean,
What's that?
bell bottoms are back too, so
Yeah.
We hit the contingency on this early with the change in the exterior design. We also hit the contingency early with the adaption of the HVAC to keep our people comfortable. So, yeah, we had a couple of large hits into the contingency,
and this is the contingency budget for the
the
project,
whole project.
not just the exterior.
Right.
Oh my
What-
goodness.
Do you have any kind of estimate as to what we get into on Tommy's renovation? Are we gonna hit some snags that are unforeseen that could drag us
I
over?
hope not, but there's always the chance.
Something.
Anytime you go into an existing building, you're always going to find something that you hadn't planned on. There will always be something.
Well, we would regret not doing it the right and best way and to make it look the most it could look. I would move that we go ahead and move forward with the MF Liticon plan, and change that so that everything will be the same fit.
Okay. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right. Do we have any more questions from the commissioners? Do we have any public comment on this item? Okay, the motion has been made to approve Wichita County Annex 2022 renovations proposal request number 5 by Commissioner Watts, seconded by Commissioner Mahler. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0.
Now, was that Tommy's area we were taking the heating and air conditioning out of, or was that? What was that discussion about? I want to read that in the headlines tomorrow, but.
That leads us into, on the sheet, agenda item number 3. For us today, it's item number 7. Presentation on all current and future construction projects for the county courthouse, all annexes, and other county facilities.
Since we're out of money, that ought to be a pretty short.
Glenda, do you have a presentation, or are you mostly here to answer questions?
I have information.
Okay. Pat, same for you, I'm guessing, just to answer questions.
Pat's here to answer questions
Okay.
if we have any.
And I did have just preliminary for Glenda's deal. Me and Annette was trying to figure out, she's got a big new shiny window in her office now. And when I look out there, of course, she has a grandiose ideal of making a courtyard out there for her girls' break area. But what am I looking at when there's some cement wells, and I call them wells because they're 3 or 4 foot deep, down that fence, that high-walled courtyard fence that's right out Annette's office?
That's the old
The old
office where they
exercise area,
the exercise yard officer would stay in. It's an
There,
office
it's kind of
building.
like an office space or
Yeah.
something?
Yeah.
And they just drop that ceiling? Is it for support? I mean, there's about 4 of those
Yeah.
that you could fill up with water, looks like. I mean,
I can't
It's
envision
just,
that.
the ceiling's lower than the,
Than the roof.
Than the
It's just
roof.
a recessed cement. I'm sure there's
yeah. It looks,
holes
it
that
looks
drain it
very
out
old.
the side, but it looks bad. It's a catch-all.
Oh,
Yeah,
looking down.
looking
on the
down,
ceiling.
right down,
Yeah,
when you
okay.
look right down over the top of
You know-
that.
And
Okay, I got you
The
now.
cage has metal top on it, but the guard shack part of that just has the old cement roof.
No.
And what happens to all of that? Is that all going away, or?
No,
No,
The courtyard
the
stays there?
yard becomes maintenance yard.
and it gets partially covered.
And it gets, there'll be a partial cover over it, and it's just for storage and their work area, and it's gonna become maintenance.
And
So
it'll
maintenance
stay
yard.
enclosed where you can't see it from the street? or
From the
anything?
street,
Okay.
from 2nd, 3rd, 4th floor you can,
Yeah.
5th floor.
If they have a big project, that's where they'll receive materials and where they'll put it together or whatever.
Yeah.
Right, there'll be an overhead door on this end.
The street
of it,
side.
and
On the
so
east end.
Right now where they're all the construction stuff. goes
But
and
can
goes
we, it looks like there's only most expanded metal caps that would put over that yard to keep that could go away really, couldn't it? I mean, instead of having to maintenance them or paint them
It's getting a partial cover.
It
that's a
actually
roof.
is gonna get a
awning of some sort.
metal roof, just
Oh, okay.
metal to come.
And that'll
over.
cover up this thing that I'm seeing outside of Net's window?
Not that officer's office area, not what was that.
We'll hit the
I'll have to come
contingency.
look out your window, I haven't.
But why wouldn't it, it wouldn't be that greater of a expense, would it, to just expand the awning and carry it out?
It's only money, Jim.
Well, it's an eyesore from the 2nd and 3rd, and
Yeah,
that's the
no,
only way you're gonna see it,
There's
I
no
guess.
reason why we couldn't at any point come back and infill more with more roof. The area that we were going to put the roof on is further this direction.
That way,
So
okay.
and that little breezeway that goes currently that people are coming in to get to the elevator from the street, all of that area is gonna be covered.
Okay.
And so that they can have a dry place, when goods are brought in, they can have a dry place to stage it before they bring it into the building or
Gotcha.
whatever. But we did not go to the dollar value to cover the entire rec yard.
Gotcha.
But yes, we could.
But even with a yard like that, we'll be able to have like a forklift down here to unload something or to keep it
Yes.
stored over there.
We put our mowers, et cetera, up under the canopy and
Right.
quasi out of the weather. It'll be a conditioned space, but it won't be dry.
That shouldn't go.
For the purposes of this item and presentation, y'all feel free to jump in with questions. I'm just gonna try to organize how we're doing this to help give me and other commissioners who may already have a full picture of this, and I'm the one
See you,
guy.
Will.
Thank you, Will. So just to get a feel for, the way I think about this in my head is where we've been, where we are, where we're going. So for where we've been, what is complete? What is done? For the courthouse, the annex, and I guess the other building in Iowa Park. What is done?
The only thing that's completely done is Annex Phase 1, which was the elevator and the flooring in the first
new
floor
tile.
hallways and the 2 elevator landings on 2 and 3.
So that phase 1, do we have a total dollar figure when we went into that? We should have.
Yeah, we
Mike
had a-
has it.
I have to look at it, because I do not have it broken out like that.
I would just like to know what our original quote was and what we ended up paying.
Well, that's another one of those projects that grew as we started.
And that's, I think that's why we're going over this.
Yeah.
Best I can understand his questions.
While Mike is pulling that up, do we, and again, biggest construction project I've ever done has been a bathroom renovation that I hired a contractor for, okay? So I realize I don't know much here. It makes sense to me that when you're doing a project like this, there would be some type of roadmap on paper that you would do that would outline phase 1, these things, this cost, phase 2, these things, this cost, and so forth. Do we have anything like that?
Yes.
Do we have it in an executive summary form that doesn't drown a layman like me in?
I think that this is what you want to see.
Yeah.
Okay.
What Glenda has is what we have currently open, the projects that we currently approved, and then everything that we have forecasted for however long in the foreseeable future.
Do we have that?
That's no.
I brought you
she's brought it.
copies.
You brought copies,
Yes.
okay. Can we go ahead and?
And what Mike is really encumbers is every time we approve those pays, he knows what we basically allocated, and then he's showing us that as well as showing the expenditure coming in and hitting the check.
Thank you. Grand total, 25 million. I don't really need to look anymore. We'll just go ahead and I'll vote one way right now.
But now,
Well, before we get all the way into this, there's some changes that occurred yesterday that are not reflective on this document.
They go up or down?
They went down. So,
Well, then let's hear them.
We need some stimulating news.
so I walked in after lunch yesterday, Judge Kennedy walked into my office and with some really good news. They are probably going to go with a new software package that will eliminate the need for massive jury assembly. So that knocks off, what?
2.6.
2.6 right off the top,
2.6 million?
2.6 million.
but
So that was our next big project that,
Well, it doesn't really knock it off, because you're still gonna have to finish out that room to some.
no, well, not necessarily. Not the
Not
the
fourth
fourth floor.
floor. Fifth floor, we're currently, and its price is already encumbered.
So,
The fourth floor, we would not, if you don't create a new jury assembly area on the fourth floor, we would not
Just
be
leave it
doing
blank.
that. So,
it can be left blank. So what the discussion with Judge Kennedy was yesterday was if we went ahead and used the fifth floor MPR as outfitted as a jury assembly room, which we're already building it out, but go ahead and purchase the furnishings so we can move jury over here until such time as that software is fully implemented. We can go ahead and move jury over here, we can outfit the room, and then we have a full functioning NPR moving forward.
Now,
So,
no, well, Jim had just mentioned to me that we contracted with MPEC through the end of the year.
we haven't contracted, we booked.
We resolved.
Oh, we
reserved
reserved,
the
okay.
space.
Yeah, and that,
I have a feeling using Impact for the rest of the year would still be cheaper.
it would
than-
be cheaper,
Yeah.
but we would end up with a space that we could utilize for other things as well. It's 6 1, half a dozen years.
Sure.
I mean, it's an expense, but
So, Mike, do you have that pulled up yet? We have plenty to talk about, so if the answer is no, that's fine, but.
so.
I don't break it out that way, so I'm having to kind of do some.
Yeah, you don't have it in phases, yeah.
Okay.
But you show, as far as what we've encumbered, Mike, not what we've paid, but what we've encumbered, you show that total to be what? Between all 3 projects, the annex, the courthouse, and Iowa Park.
The Iowa Park stuff, I don't have anything done on that because this is the first time I'm seeing a
Okay.
concrete number.
So we have not done the construction
Right.
documents, and so right now, Iowa Park is an estimate still
Sure.
only.
So,
The only thing, and I could go back, I could even call my office right quick and get them to get the final GMP on phase 1 for the, annex, the elevator.
Yeah, and that's kind of what Mickey would, I think, like to see is just what we projected and how it came in.
Okay.
if we were to finish out the 5th floor NPR with furnishings to make it a jury assembly or multi-purpose meeting room, whatever, 400 chairs, AV equipment, etc., to make it functional as that would be about $75,000.
For those furnishings, Mark?
Yeah, those furnishings, audio, video, visual equipment, everything, to bring it, put the technology in it like it would be a courtroom, in other words.
And we have or are in the process of completing the bathroom upgrades there that we implemented or around the perimeter.
Yeah, I'll have restroom facilities, etc. for the break room area. So, no, to move forward would not be cheaper than to continue to use the impact. But if we move forward with that, we would have an area that would be outfitted to use for other purposes as well.
Okay.
No, I was just kind of trying to think like Tanya, right now, Tanya, any kind of training that you do and different stuff or different kind of, hey, we got this new health thingy and y'all come watch. I mean, do you just switch around to whatever room capacity that we have to do?
We used 290 this week for training, which we filled it completely.
Precinct 2 is always available, we got room.
Yeah.
Come on over.
All right, so phase 1 complete. That's the annex, elevator, flooring on 2 and 3 over there. We'll see on the dollars and just,
Yeah, current courthouse project, we're a lot closer to being complete than I thought we were, as of some discussion earlier this week.
so next.
I'm not gonna give a date, but it's closer than I expected, so.
But Mike, what are you showing to complete the courthouse? Dollars remaining? Because you track that, right?
With the in the courthouse with the estimation, the change orders and the elevators, it comes to just at 6.2. And there's currently just shy of $1 million.
Left to
Yes,
be
sir.
spent.
There's another bit of good news that'll be on the next court agenda, is we have an $86,000 credit coming back.
8286 something.
As we redesign the HVAC and fire suppression system on fire.
Well, that's buy your furniture up there on
Well, that would do that or do
Where
project
other things.
number 2, which we need to talk about.
So before, if we can, before we move to what is next.
Yeah.
So within the next few months to finish out, we've got roughly $1 million left that's been encumbered to finish. So what is going to be done at the end of the current phase that we're in?
Okay, so this project.
And I know this is gonna be a lot of
That's okay.
stuff.
That's okay. This project, then, when it's complete, will, the first floor, the lower level first floor, the clerk's office, the HR department, the library, the,
Which clerk? District or
District clerk.
district, sorry.
The
That
back
whole
lobby,
wing, the, everything that's down there on that lower level will be complete.
And that's gonna be the home for HR, law library, district clerk, what else?
that's it down there. And then the back lobby, the new elevator lobby.
Then there's the lower level elevator lobby. Then up on the actual entrance level, first floor, that lobby will be fixed where right now all the barriers and everything are. So we've got to finish out that area. On 2,
No, we still have one, we still got IT.
okay, I'm sorry, yeah.
IT.
IT area will
Treasure.
be complete and the
Treasurer.
treasure area complete. And
Elections.
currently where HR is going to be working on there too.
Okay. So where HR is now, it's gonna be where elections is?
Yeah, partially, and
Right.
then security.
Right. Security
When
office.
it's
Right,
all,
that way.
all said and done, and building maintenance that we've already
Oh, yeah,
completed.
and so
Right,
that,
and
so that is already, that's already been completed.
That's completed, and then the exterior building maintenance area as well, I mean, the canopy we've already discussed. That's first floor. Moving up, so the central staircase, every landing gets refloored, and since we had to bump out the elevator, we did some decorative touches going up the central staircase, so that gets done. Second floor is pretty much limited to our lobby out here, the elevator lobby is about the only thing that's touched on the second floor of the property. Third floor, we removed a set of non-compliant restrooms to make a connection through to the CCO2 and 89 court. That's done. We added wainscoting back in to match everything in front of the 30th District Court. That's in the process of being complete.
The removal of the bathroom to connect, can you say that one again?
Yep, to connect from the front, back to CCL2 area, and moving forward, the long-term plan is to make the back hallway, so going down to the 30th District offices and going down to District Attorney's offices, make that a secure hallway where it's not a public access hallway. It'd be very similar to going into Mel's area. You'd have to be popped in.
That's more on the,
That's,
potentially where we're going.
that's where we're
not-
going, but that's one of the reasons that was removed, so.
Why are we doing all that? I'm just curious, something, why are we doing all that on the third floor and you plan on moving those courtrooms out of the third floor?
The third floor will always have courtrooms.
It's just some of them, Nikki, would change.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, Mike, clarify for me, when you say 6.2, with $1 million to go, that doesn't change it to 7.2, it just completes the full
Completes.
6.2. Okay, I just wanted to make sure I did understand that.
This isn't
We
exact.
spent 5.2, we got $1 million to go.
So
And then, so that's the third floor.
that's the third floor.
Fine.
Moving up to
Yeah.
the fourth
If we never
floor,
get there,
the only thing that has
This
occurred
plan
on the
right
fourth
now.
floor is new elevator lobbies and demolition. So, the demolition, that's pretty much it on fourth.
But there was a lot of demolition on.
A lot of demolition on fourth. 5 is total demolition, 2 new elevator lobbies. Or no, one new elevator, we're not building the back of it.
Yeah, the backside will just
be plain,
plain until
very plain.
everything's used.
The NPR room, 3 new restrooms.
Mhm.
Now, there's not, right now, any dollars encumbered to replace the jail elevator.
No.
3 new restrooms in the break room.
Don't talk about all
Although there is a platform in there now, it looks like you could ride on it
3 new restrooms in the break room.
Yeah.
And then moving up from there,
if you look at
we,
that.
we never had good access to the roof. We now have a continuation of the stairway that's, when you come through security, you walk up the stairs, you can walk them all the way up to the roof now, instead of crawling through the death trap hole in the old fourth.
It's already there.
It's there. Is it opened all the way to the roof yet? The staircase is there. It's not open.
I just went up the ladder not too long ago.
Not till this summer.
Okay. I mean, what, couple
Do you
months
go
ago?
up to a well and open the door and go out, or is there a hatch you still open?
It'll be a walk-in door.
Okay.
Yeah, there'll be an actual staircase that goes all the way up, and then there'll be a door that opens out onto the roof.
Gotcha.
Which is so much better for
Oh.
maintenance, IT, and everything.
Yeah.
We have a lot of need to go up on the roof constantly.
The way it is now, sure does limit the amount of people that go.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That is
Yeah,
your,
no one wants to
I'm
volunteer.
not gonna be one of those that
That
go.
is your initiation of county government going up
Yeah.
on the roof. That's-
So that's the current courthouse project.
Okay.
And the 2 elevators, of course.
So, the $1 million or so left on that, and then at the end of that, the lower level first floor will be done. HR will move to their new home. Their current home will be taken by elections. District clerk will move down to the first floor. Their current office, ? IT will move into their new home on the first floor in that wing. Their current location, ? Treasurer's office, still the treasurer will be there, it's being redone.
IT also, IT was
IT
there,
expanded.
and IT's going back.
Oh, IT was there.
IT expanded. They took what was the warrant office.
Yeah, all renovated and
Osborne's,
closed
yeah.
now.
Okay. Elections will move from their current home in the
Now-
county clerk's office to the first floor.
Now, that's under, my impression is that's under the thought that we move to election administrator. If we didn't for some reason or waited, I'm sure Annette would rather keep that within sight of her until that time came.
So it will be set up to do that.
If you're gonna supervise them, you'd want them there. I don't think she wants to really supervise them.
So that's contingent upon further court action. Okay. Then.
So do we need to leave that blank now?
No, I think it needs to be completed.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then the central stairway all the way up, first floor all the way to the
First
top.
floor to the roof.
Okay. Oh, and then on the first floor, security will have an office, and then the canopy
Yeah.
outside on the north side of the building.
I think that's everything. That's quite a lot. That's a huge
I
project.
think that's got it.
Okay.
And we do have the demo of the 2 child,
Oh, the two
juvenile
juvenile cells. Yeah.
cells areas.
That we haven't started yet.
Where's that?
On
It's
4.
on fourth floor, south side,
South side of the elevator.
so that those can be repurpose it someday into something else.
You know that saying that if you haven't been in a new position long enough to know where the bathrooms are? I think that may literally be true on some of these projects. Okay, so then elevator lobbies finished out second, third, fourth.
Yep.
Then on the third floor, that non-compliant bathroom is out to potentially pave the way for other changes later on, and then
Right.
wainscoting and aesthetic stuff.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
fourth
And-
floor demo.
I forgot all the windows. Yeah, we're doing
Yes.
a lot
Right,
of
yeah.
We
lot of
replaced the
windows.
windows on the
Changing
north
a lot
side
of
and
stuff.
that exterior,
Yeah.
got rid of the wine rack
Yeah.
and did the eaves on the outside.
Okay.
And Glenda, I was asking, me and Mark was talking about this. Is there something that we can do periodically at the appropriate time to know, like, I had that EPAS put up at Electra, we never touched it. It lasted a long time, but it would have lasted longer had we done the appropriate maintenance that I should have done. And like, now that we'll have that at the annex too, shouldn't ever
About
so
every
often?
20 years. It's not a 100-year product, it's a 25-year-ish product. So about at 20-year mark, you can recoat it and it will make it last
Longer.
another 20, 25 years. Yeah. It doesn't require some maintenance.
Okay.
So then, fifth floor, total demolition, multi-purpose room, 3 new restrooms and break room, and then the improved roof access.
Correct.
Yes.
Okay. And all of that is included and encumbered in the current
Correct.
6.2,
Yes.
which includes, how much of that is ARPA money?
All of it,
All of it.
probably.
Okay.
Was it out of the 10 million or was it out of the?
Both.
So that's the question, and I need a project to actually be complete. I will have to break up each one of those areas, human resources, district clerk, into the cost per area, and then I will have to figure out how I can apply that, whether it will be lost revenue or will fall into the other side of that 15.6 million. But I need something to be complete.
Okay.
Sounds like we're close.
We're getting there.
We're getting there.
Just for general purposes, I had my office go back and look. Our original estimate on the annex was, we do the low-high type of thing because it's always gonna be somewhere in between. Our low was 390,000, high was 507,000. It ended up, the total cost was 534,000. But we did come back in with a $118,000 change order that added exterior work that was not going to be done. But we did sidewalks, planter beds, so we increased the scope to get it to that 534.
So the 534 includes that
Yes.
external scope change.
So it sounds like we came in about 435 off of 390.
With a big scope change,
Yeah,
which definitely needed to be done.
Yes.
Okay, so on the annex then, because that's not phase one. That's
That
what
information-
we're.
That's
That
right.
was
Phase
what
one.
Glenda's called it.
that was phase one of the annex. Phase two of the annex is now the rest of.
So that exterior work that they're doing now is still part of phase
No,
one?
no,
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 it's
no,
phase two.
sorry, it's phase two. What you approved today, you mean? in
Yeah,
court?
yeah.
That's phase two.
Okay.
That was just, Jim, the sidewalks, planter, air change up, how that was right
There
outside
were
the door.
large pine
Re-leveling
trees that
the
were
hall-
dead.
Days.
The awnings that we're not gonna use?
One of them we're reusing. We're gonna put it back. We're gonna put it back.
We only have one awning,
Uh-huh.
so I think we're gonna use it.
Okay, so then annex phase two.
Mhm. Annex phase two is, all of Tommy's area, then air conditioning for the entire first floor. And so when they go in and put new air conditioning, the air conditioning system, was, I don't know what it was, It was, they had resistant heat strips on the exterior walls and cooling on the interior walls, and never the two shall talk. And so all year long,
They're
we
fighting
had,
each other.
they were fighting each other, heat going on in one place and air. And then we found out at one point that because these center units never had heat, they only had cooling, that up in the auditor's office on the third floor, they never had heat either, and they were waiting on the heat from everything down low to rise. And so at one point, it's been a couple of years back when we had Freeze-Mageddon.
We found heaters up there that were never even wired in.
Yeah, and so the whole mechanical system for the annex was,
Lacking.
Yeah.
I was trying to find a nice way to put it, you're right.
And that's part of phase two, not just
That-
first floor, it's,
No, just first floor,
It's
just first floor.
For
is-
all the mechanical system, yes.
So, and in doing that, it's, every ceiling tile and grid's gonna
There's
be
ceiling
replaced.
tiles that are, yeah, and so they're gonna have to get into the duct work and everything else, they'll mess the ceilings up everywhere on the first floor. So adult probation,
Indigent health,
Health.
all that.
all of that area will have to be touched. And then where the sheriff's office is, and the fishbowl went away a while back, but they're in the center
Yeah, in
of
phase
the
one.
stairwell now.
okay.
But we're gonna go into that stairwell and add some protection and some glass so that somebody can't drop something on the sheriff's apartments.
Or easily look down on their monitors or et cetera. So give them a little more security in their center position.
Secure the security.
Okay. As far as the complete remodel renovation, that's mainly limited at this point to that first floor tax assessor clinic. We'll have to do
Except
stuff with those other floors because they're gonna be touched.
Right.
But that's just
the,
to fix the other problems to get to that first floor.
the second and third floor, all the common areas will receive new flooring because the flooring is gone. I mean, it's literally falling apart.
Okay. And
And
the-
then new windows on the
Second and third,
second, third.
front side, Scott
and then
Street
the-
side.
The new exterior.
Yes,
Project.
all the new exterior.
All right. And what is the cost on that, on phase two for the annex?
Currently, the GMP for that project is 3.3. It's on this sheet, the very top number.
Okay. What's the low high for that? When y'all initially made it?
I don't know, let me, because once we got the GMP, I took the low
Sure.
off of it, you know.
Guaranteed maximum price. Unless you change scope.
Guaranteed maximum price don't really,
Guaranteed maximum price is if you stay within the scope of the project. If you change scope, the guaranteed maximum price is out the window. You change the GMP to a different value.
and and this is just conversation right now because we're discussing this, but that's why I think as of today on item number 8, when you have another $12,000 add-on on something that you looked at prior to the job being bid, it seems like it would fall under G or GMP to have to eat that.
That's why you put
because you looked at
contingencies
it.
though.
But you looked at it, it wasn't like it was hidden. It wasn't behind a wall. But I'm just saying, that's why I'm.
So to that point, is like that item number 8 today, is that considered a scope change then?
Yep.
No, it's a buildability issue.
It's an add-on, so it would change to, it changes your scope
But-
of work.
but you
It's not a
put-
big scope.
But you put contingencies in a project to cover buildability problems in a remodel.
So our contingency budget for that, that's included in this GMP.
Correct.
There is
Okay.
160,000 included in that GMP.
That's to take care of things that are unforeseen in the plans and documents, et cetera, or minor things that you walk around and say, you know, this would be great if we did this instead of this.
Now, that's more of a scope change.
That could be a scope change, but if it's a minor little, hey, I need a plug right here thing, which happens an awful lot.
Okay. And then, so that's the annex, what's currently encumbered, what we're planning on finishing up.
Correct.
Okay. And then the Iowa Park annex, is that in a, we've already encumbered funds for it category,
No.
or?
No, we've assigned a project number to it with the intent of moving forward.
But we
Yeah.
haven't went out to bid for
We
it.
No,
haven't gone
we
out to
have not
bid,
completed the
nor
construction
have we
drawings.
sit down seriously with our various partners for outside funding. So
Okay.
that's why those two projects are in green.
Okay.
Those may have outside funding sources attached to them that's not fully coming from county
And
coffers.
we have not encumbered
We
funds.
have
for-
not encumbered funds for either of those two projects shown in green.
So-
We have assigned a project number to Iowa
And
Park.
we've got an estimate on it, but that's
That,
it, really.
that means signing a project number gives Glenda the go-ahead to draw construction documents to go, with the intent to go out for bid.
Okay. And Mike, for the annex project, what's our spent and remaining?
I show 605, 206.90 for actuals to date.
And the total amount encumbered,
3.567.
So we've got about 2.9 left in that to finish it off.
And
Yes, sir.
So
Cheryl?
you said 3.5, Mike? Our GMP was 3.3, but we're gonna be at 3.5?
That's good. I think that maybe the GMP is since different, or
no, the GMP hasn't changed on the annex project.
There's always other costs associated, like with any project that we do.
A&E fees,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, A&E fees,
I
yeah.
do get paid.
Yeah.
That look on his face.
well, so I'm curious. So the guaranteed maximum price doesn't include. That's not.
No, that's not
No, that-
architecture, engineering,
That's-
any sort of material testing, geotechnical. The GMP is the contract that is signed with the contractor for only construction. And the other thing that is a little bit different is on the jobs, a couple of years ago, the county decided to pay for the elevators themselves
Mhm.
outside of the construction work. And so that's a number that's been, that has to be added into it too. So the annex elevator and the two elevators here, there is a contract directly from the county with TK Elevator. That's
Which-
not normal. Normally the.
Which was a
construction-
mistake, to save money, but it's added another whole level of headache that,
So that 6.2 million number we were just talking about. on the
Changes
courthouse,
drastically.
That's not the actual total number that we're going to be spending on the courthouse project?
yes, it is.
I've added everything that I can possibly think of.
So that does include,
I've added.
we're talking about, the difference here is that that's mostly already done, it's included as part of the total cost. The estimate here is not including some other things, and so they're not apples to apples. Am I understanding that right?
I'm concerned.
That's
about
correct.
what it's gonna cost the county overall.
Right. Which, I mean, ultimately.
Right, and things like furniture, we call it soft costs. I don't know why, but somewhere along the line it developed a name called soft cost. Soft cost is anything that if you turn the building over and shake it and it stays, that's hard cost. Anything that falls out, you turn the building over and shake it, that's soft cost. Or something that you don't get to see actual, like my fees, you don't actually ever see in the building itself. So anything like that, furniture, like I said, engineering fees, material testing fees, if there were asbestos abatement, that goes along with those costs. There's just a whole nother, and most of the time in estimates, when we do our estimates, if you look back one page or 2 pages, down at the bottom of any of them, when I've added stuff up, I've added in soft costs.
Yeah. And then,
I've estimated so that while the GMP doesn't include all of our fees, my estimates include those fees. And so there'll be always a difference in those.
and Annex Phase 2 does contain a large amount of soft cost within the GMP because of the type of construction we're doing was required the furnishings to be part of the construction. We put those within the actual project.
So Mike is not encumbering those. When he sees us approve something, he's missing those soft costs that are gonna come along. Is that what
No.
I'm hearing?
I'm doing my best to look at historically what we spend in addition on these projects and add them into the overall estimate when I make the budget.
Right, but when you tell me that we've encumbered $6.2 million for the courthouse,
He
what
has
you're
paid
not
me
seeing
some.
is equipment and other things
No,
that
I
could
think-
occur, right?
No, I think he has included what he has already paid me, and he's including what he knows will be coming or guesses will be coming. But if it's in the amount already paid, some of my fee is already paid.
But he wouldn't have soft costs in there. How would he know that that soft cost is gonna come down the pipe?
Everything that's been billed,
To that
is-
project.
Yes.
Yeah, if we
I know,
And
but when
historical
he tells
data.
me 6.2 is a total number, Mike can't know that because he doesn't know, I don't know, what the soft cost is gonna be on top of 6.2. We can approve the projects for 6.2, but you're telling me over and above that are soft costs that we have not calculated in,
Right.
to an extent.
There might be something there, but like, we've given him a bill for our cost, and it says the total amount, so he will have added that in. And anytime we add anything to it, he's aware of what
Sure.
we've added to it. And then I gather is what, I'm putting words in his mouth, but historical data on other projects, it took this much soft cost. So he's sort of budgeted a little bit of that in there already. And whether it all gets used or not is, he'll account for. But I'm assuming you've got some historical data that says, okay, on this project, we'll need an additional soft cost line item for this amount, and he's stuck that in there.
You feel like that's kinda true?
I think that's pretty accurate.
It's hard to track though, because when we're approving funds, this kind of funds, and then you take soft costs of 20% and you throw on the top, it really changes our dollar amount that we're approving in our mind. But I have a question. As of today, when we did that 12,340, just for the EFS changes out front, is there gonna be, are your fees going on top of that 12,340?
Yes.
So we didn't actually approve 12,340. We
And Mike's
actually,
encumbering 12,340. Right, Mike?
Yes, I don't add their fees on every
Until
change
they
order.
bill us.
see, and that's my, I mean, it changes the dollar amounts tremendously. I think we should have those dollar amounts up front. I think they should be included on a bid and not, that should be something we're looking at up front and not just saying, well, there's gonna be fees on the back end. Because I think you should look at all your fees up front. It's a cost that the county's incurring, and we need to see those dollar amounts up front, not at the end after it's done. I disagree with that logic of thinking totally.
We can
That's just
add it
me.
to it, but it has nothing to do, I mean, because.
the
our money
GMP is a
doesn't
completely
fall-
different item.
Then we need to call it total cost
Total-
then, and I
total
don't wanna
project
have all the
cost.
abbreviations. I wanna know totally what it's costing us, cause you take millions of dollars and you throw 20% on it and you throw contingency fees on it, then you might change your whole project 30% on a $10 million project.
Contingency
That's a lot
fees
of
are
money.
within the GMP.
But I'm just saying,
Yeah.
you
there-
need a
there
total
is
cost.
Extra, but our fee is not 20%. When I do estimates, because our fee, engineering fees, materials costs fees, I put those in the estimate, but our fee is nowhere near 20%.
Between
I would love for it to
architectural,
be.
engineering, and,
So like for that particular eaves change, there'll be no engineering fees on that. There'll just be the architectural fees on that.
see, and that's, maybe I don't quite understand on that, why there would be extra architectural fees, because you already had that scope of work designed in your project.
We had
and
to
you're-
change it.
But you're saying that all you are now, you're just having to, your person doing that
No, we're
work is
having
actually
to
doing
figure
the,
out a different way to do it because the way that it was.
they're still not changing the way they're doing their columns. They're just having the
No, they're
guys doing
changing
the
ways
actual
they're
work.
having to do the columns. They're actually changing, they're going to put a different layer of eaves over it and change the columns. We've had to redesign the columns. We had to rework the drawings. There was work involved in that on our side, as well as their side.
Okay. I like to be all the money to be
Moving
transparent
forward,
up front.
we can put a separate allowance on the side, knowing what to expect. We can do the GMP and then allowances outside the GMP, which is similar to what we did with the LEC. We had an allowance
Because
bucket.
to I think what Commissioner Watts was saying earlier, and when you're trying to decide how much something's going to cost up front, this does introduce you get 90% of the way there and you spend 100% of the money if it wasn't all up front. And that's even not including inflation and all
Yeah.
that stuff. So, okay.
And Cheryl, I have a question, if you're available.
I am.
If, assuming that 90% of tax revenue has came in and we've applied it to permanent improvement, if you went there tomorrow and took out all the money in permanent improvement, what is that balance in the ledger on permanent improvement?
Let's see if I can pull up my monthly report, because the amount of cash available is pretty low. Permanent improvement is getting really low because I haven't given it in influx money from ARPA yet, because I don't know what I'm going to do with it reporting wise. I don't want to give out ARPA money until I know what I can do with it legally. Mike, do you know what the cash balance is offhand?
I'd have to look.
You might have faster.
I know there's about 1
It's pretty,
What is it, Mike?
I know there's about 1.5 million in tax pool. But
That's
as far as the
That's
actual
pretty low when
balance,
you're looking at all these figures.
Is that most of it is in,
most of it is in tax pool.
there's basically all of it is. in
Okay,
tax pool.
gotcha. So 1.5, but Cheryl, that puts the onus on us to make some of these calls, I guess, as soon as they can,
Right.
so you can apply ARPA funding back to
Yep.
that account. Okay.
Yes, this is why I really need us to finish a project, really before we continue to start new ones. I need something finished before we start a new project that we may or may not be able to actually afford.
Right.
And right now, we just have a lot of things going, but we haven't actually finished anything.
Right.
Which is a great segue then into where we're going, which is mostly what's on this sheet you gave us, Linda.
Mhm.
So that would be on this. Are these put in order of expected
No.
prioritization?
No order.
That's what I was wondering. Can we put these in order of importance?
Yes,
We can.
Or-
I think that's
Well-
not something you decide, that's something.
that's something y'all
Yeah.
decide.
Well, let's go with the first project that's listed there is third floor child protection court. That was the last big ask from all of our judges, is once the district clerk's area is vacated, can we move Judge Logue into that space? Part of that space, which is currently district clerk, will be taken up in the expansion of what is currently 78th and 89th, leaving a center section that would be unutilized. We have a figure here of $157,593 to build that court in the middle as a temporary. I think we can do it much cheaper because we can take a lot of that in-house and do it pretty much immediately.
We did a price request from Eminent Litigant earlier this week. He has not had time to get the numbers together, but splitting the cost between him and the county doing some of the work, and so to build the walls and do the work that's structurally required, and then the county doing the flooring, doing the painting, that sort of thing. And so we'll have prices on that probably the middle of next week.
Yeah, and
But I don't
we're calling it
anticipate-
temporary, but I don't think it's really a temporary. I think it's a longer-term solution than temporary. But that's right now the judge's number one request, is that we take care of that.
Why would it be temporary?
Well, I
But
think,
the long term is to move that courtroom down to what is currently CCL 1.
Okay.
So you put family court services all in that one hallway, so anything family court wise would be on that corridor. So that's real long term looking.
But you would not go in there with that courtroom and do, finishes like what you've got in here, or what we anticipate doing on the fourth floor with
It's-
the.
Yeah, it's pretty
floors.
basic.
It'll be a bare bones.
Yeah, drywall, carpet, and ceiling tiles, pretty basic stuff. So a lot of that we can handle with our own staff. So that figure, while it would probably be a good construction estimate, but that's not a realistic figure if we're taking on most of the work in-house.
Just for information's sake, my office got back with me, and the original estimate on Scott Street for this phase 2 that we're in was 3.47, and so we're right now at 3.31 plus.
Soft
Soft
cost. So you're right at it. Well, no, you're gonna be under it because there's very, very little in soft cost
Yeah.
coming back other than architectural and
Did you ever
engineering fees.
Did you ever get that phase 1 dollar amount?
Yeah, Linda got it.
yeah. That was the 534.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
So-
So
So,
Commissioner Watts, at 131, cash balance for permanent improvement was just under $2 million.
Okay,
So we're,
okay.
so moving on from priority from that point, since everything changed yesterday, jury assembly was the next thing on their priority list, but apparently that's a moot point now. It's gone away. So the next thing would be to build out 2 court suites on the 4th floor, on the new side of 4th floor. So those 2 court suites are essentially $3 million each, or somewhere. No, I'm sorry, I looked at the wrong line, so.
No, you're right.
No,
Yeah,
that's
okay,
right.
yeah,
Yeah, you're right.
about $3 million each to do that. So,
Cheryl, help me, on the permanent improvement dollars. Mike has paid out in the courthouse $5 million.
yes,
we've not let any ARPA money, so that's all had to come out of permanent improvement?
That's correct. We have not moved any ARPA money over for any of those projects yet. We are budgeted to move about $10 million from ARPA into permanent improvement this year, once we start finishing these projects.
Okay, but, so that would mean that we've been 7 million plus, taking into account the annex expenditures as well came out of permanent improvement. We had
Yes.
that kind of money sitting there?
Yeah.
So at the end of all this, we should have around 12 million or so back in permanent improvement fund?
Yes, in theory. Well, yes. Because we haven't spent though any of really of the annex, so we still got $3 million to pay out.
Okay, thank you.
And we got $1 million left to pay on the courthouse. So we're gonna pay out $1 million roughly for the, Olive Park building, right?
Well, yeah. So there's still, okay.
But Cheryl,
Or,
We tagged the entirety of the annex project to ARPA in one form or another.
yes, but that's not how we paid it.
No,
Right.
not today, not
Yes.
today,
Yeah.
but it will come back.
But Cheryl, bearing in mind the most we ever contributed to permanent improvement in any given year was 1 cent. And that 1 cent only today is right at $900,000. How did we ever get $7+ million in permanent improvement? Because the most I ever remember being in permanent improvement is $3.5 million.
3.5 was the number I always had.
That's what I thought too.
Yeah.
Well, I'm thankful for it.
Well, I am too. I'm
Yeah,
thankful. It's a lot better than, thinking you got 10 or 11 and you got 3.5, but that was just the number and I don't know why
But-
we had
but
that.
they couldn't be paying out of general fund, could they?
for some of this expense, I mean, no, most of it would not be. It would all be permanent improvements. So, I mean, of course, ARPA is generating thousands of dollars of interest every month. I'm sure that money, some of that permanent improvement money has been generating interest over its investments.
Oh, yeah.
But
Not that much, but.
I was gonna say, all
we
in.
can-
But did we declare any of that lost revenue and go ahead and set it in there?
No, I have not moved any money into permanent improvement.
Okay.
The only things that are really paying directly out of the ARPA money is the premium pay.
Right.
You'd like to have my opinion on
So, I mean, it sounds like everything,
Cheryl, if I can get you like costs for those areas that we're fixing to be, finishing up, especially on first floor and everything, if maybe a cost per square foot so that we can identify how much each of those areas are worth so that you can,
It's not the work, it's the cost. I have to know the exact amount of cost,
I
and I have
think
to be able to
there's
justify that
Yeah.
on the reports
I
that
don't-
I send in to the treasury that, which one it's gonna fit in. If it's lost revenue, then it is. If I can fit it in one of the other buckets, I would prefer to do that. Because lost revenue I can do anything with. The other 15.6 million is very, very limited. And so I have to be able to justify, and I gotta have actual costs.
if I can start providing you that early on now or whatever you need, just let me know. I'm just offering to help identify
Yeah.
the cost for each of those areas.
Right. But until it's done, we don't know what those costs are fully gonna come in at, so that I can break up into pieces.
Yep. It's in the 8th and expand.
I just totally lost.
yeah, We'll ask me.
So
Ask
law
her.
library,
I'll-
where the law
I'll
library
find
is now.
discussion a bit later
we'll
on
make
that, just to make sure we're
and
all
let's
under
take
the same.
real estate on the other
uh,
side.
same-
There are some drawings further back of each of the floors, so that if I can help identify what I'm talking about.
Thank you for providing us this, that's helpful.
So the two district courts up on 4 would be the main priority, and along with the 30th district remodel would be at the same time, so we could make them all under the same model, if you will. That would include the secure hallway on 3.
That was
as well.
included in that third floor renovation.
Yeah.
And then once those guys are moved out of 3rd floor up to 4th floor, we could come back into each of those, the ones on 3rd floor, the
78,
89,
89 would be
70, yeah.
1 and 2.
and redo those areas and expand them into part of what is currently the district clerk's office and the law library currently, so that those can be expanded better and made into not go down tiny hallways and get tucked into a corner.
Are those courtrooms, just asking, are they similar facade to something like this? Are they, because the
Right.
ones that like 30th district right now, I think it's just paneling.
It is.
It's
Right.
just paneling and some ceiling tile. I mean,
No, I think that what the judges are wanting is something that's very nice, very, stately, something that would be more like this. We've requested that they give us some dates so that we can go and look at some courtrooms in Denton and some other places, so that they can say, we like this or we like
so
that.
you still don't have any idea on what kind of facade you're putting in these courtrooms
No,
as of this moment?
no, I do not.
So that 3 million is just it's a guess.
It's an estimate, yes.
Yeah. Because what kind of square footage on one of those courtrooms?
What is that?
I don't know.
They're big.
It's 9 million.
I mean, they're 2,000 square foot, you think?
Let me
No,
ask that
more
question,
than-
Barry.
I think more than that, for their suites, their everything.
Where'd you pull this
Look
from?
over the,
That is proposed.
next to the last
Just looking for mine.
page, there is
I
a
picked the
drawing.
wrong one up.
Cheryl,
Yes,
Barry had pulled a recapitulation page from the 2023 budget, was showing me, and
And
we
this
were
is the-
looking,
This is the proposed, he's going to.
oh,
get
he's
the-
going to get, maybe,
I don't know.
You
that
have
it's
the
different,
adopted,
though.
Jim?
Yeah,
on the recapitulation,
okay.
yes, the recapitulation,
it shows the amount of money allocated towards the 2023, it's page 18.
Right there.
And it shows that we made a $9 million transfer into,
we will, but we have not yet.
Oh,
It's
okay.
budgeted,
It's
it's
budgeted.
It's
Okay.
budgeted to go in there, but we have not put it into that money yet.
Okay.
but where would I see looking at this page or the budget? Because with that transfer of 9 million, we would then have a $10 million budget. Or
Yes.
Funds.
funds, I mean.
Yeah.
Where,
So you're gonna have to go to 401's page. One of the things we do need to keep in mind is the leftover LEC money has been put into 401, so it's in that same fund. So we do have to keep that in mind, that some of that cash is part of LEC bond money.
But, yeah, it
That's
can't be
about
intermingled.
400,000.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, it's not that
It
much.
can't be intermingled, it can't be spent on anything but LEC. We can't
Right.
use that for these
Yeah.
projects.
Just accounting for it in that same
Sure.
fund, so we could, well, because we should have already spent it, but we just keep dragging it out. And $20,000 increments.
Yeah.
The 9 million.
I just don't know what, in 401 it
Okay.
should show, does it show?
Cheryl, since you brought that up, would it be better to use that to pay off some of the debt on that and?
Yes, we can do that. We can
Then-
put it towards debt and get done with it.
What
but
we don't have already encumbered? And
Right.
that way we dissolve that, and if we need to purchase anything else in the future, we just take it out of permanent improvement.
Well, but, I mean,
Yes.
it doesn't,
It's-
it's right now not hurting us, and it's making us, that interest is such that we're making more money.
We're not I don't think we're making more than the interest rate is on the bond. Our bond interest is very high because our bond rating was not as good as it needed to be due to not filing of our reports timely, things like that have affected our bond rating over the years. Our rate was not actually as good as we could have had of it.
It would just be easier for her to clean it up, to go ahead and pay it on that,
Sure.
be done with it.
I'm worried that now we're starting to veer off into something
Okay.
that's not on the
Okay,
agenda.
sorry.
From
Right.
talking about.
So,
Yeah.
page 27,
3.5.
Okay, page 27, Barry.
yeah, page 27
Are you in the-
is permanent improvement.
You're in the adopted, right?
Are you in the adopted 23?
Yes,
Okay.
should be.
24. There's 27 right there.
Okay, where am I looking at, Cheryl?
Okay, what is your question, so I can direct you there?
As we entered into the 23 budget cycle, we left 22, fiscal year 22 with how much money in permanent improvement?
Well, this is an estimate from when I did this, 22 wasn't finished when I did the budget in September.
Here's fund summaries.
So, you'll see at one point, let's see, in 21, we had $13 million. We spent some, our fund balance and permanent improvement going into 22 was almost $5.4 million. I don't have year-to-date numbers, we adopted to spend $8 million. At September or August 31st, we still had $4.2 million really coming in permanent improvements.
Right, but that's my question right there. So at the fall of 2022, we have less than $5 million in there. How have we paid out $5 million, at least $5 million at this point, and still have $2 million invested?
Well, because some of that you're talking about, we spent in 21. This ongoing project, like the annex, a lot of that annex, that 500,000 was spent in 21.
We got another copy.
That's just book, but.
Okay.
Well, but no, my point is that in the fall of 22, setting ledger in permanent improvement was less than $5 million.
Right, but some of that we spent $2 million. So when we went into 22, we spent money on the annex in 21. We spent, when I was doing this budget, we'd already spent $2 million with $4.2 million left. That's over $6 million.
So we would have had, 6.
Yeah,
And now we spent 5 and we got 1.5. We're still.
we're still up, yes.
Can't forget about your revenues that come in.
No, I mean, the revenue any given year is less than $880,000. That's a high year. It's been on the $700,000 line for 2 years prior to that, and then it was in
our penny.
then it was in the 600,000. We were just adding $500,000 per year, yet we had projects out in permanent improvement every single year. We had expenditures in permanent improvement, not just adding money. To ever have a fund balance that high in permanent improvement, I've never seen it.
Did we not add an additional penny this year? I thought we did.
We were going
I
to.
thought we did.
We were going to, but we did not.
One is all we have.
And there were years that we added nothing. I mean,
We've always got a penny.
Would it be helpful next?
Well, we
Friday?
transferred, and we had a transfer though of $2 million for 22.
what was it?
Could we line out a running balance on permanent improvement for, say, the last 3 years?
That's what I said, would it be
Yes.
helpful next
That
Friday
would
to
be
let?
very helpful to see, okay, and then we spent this, we
Where-
added this, and.
Cheryl, where did
You just need
we
a
transfer in $2 million from?
I have to look where that was on the budget. I don't know if we actually did it though, so I think we were trying to, I have to look. I don't know
Out of
offhand.
precinct 4,
I do it,
No, this is hard for me to follow if I don't have
Yeah.
something.
That's, why don't we ask for next Friday to have a discussion on the permanent improvement fund?
Yeah, I think that would be wonderful.
That's all right.
We'll
Yeah,
have-
you said-
Hey, Jen,
Yeah.
Jen, that agenda has already been posted.
Okay.
You're right.
You're right. Well, we could do it the following week.
Yeah, cause I'm with Barry, it's hard for me to
I need a
do this
running-
unless I've got the, on paper in front of me.
Sure.
I'm not trying to cut off discussion.
No,
just-
no, that's fine.
This
Yeah,
goes
that
here.
would be, I'm getting the picture that we're going to be relatively healthy after we finish these projects and transfer ARPA, that we've not,
Yeah, the news is good.
and I was not of that
Yeah.
assumption. I felt like that you was spent 10 million of ARPA, we're gonna have a $2-3 million left in permanent improvement at that point.
Jeff's having, it's too good to be true,
But
concerns.
you are.
Yay!
But yeah, I think we all are. So yeah, we'll do that. That'll give y'all the chance to do the ledger for us, that type of, or we can see it on
Yeah.
paper and then discuss and ask questions.
Because, and where that comes from, Cheryl, is yesterday I reached out to our Wells Fargo contact just to have an understanding of construction and that tax deferred note that we're able to do as the county government up to $7
Yes.
million. And he called me back last night and told me that the last one they just did was at 3.7% interest. And immediately when he said that, first thing I thought of is interest is at Tex Pool Prime is 4.75. And we could make money off of a note, but we were preparing because we really thought that these projects emptied our coffers.
And they totally would if it hadn't been for ARPA.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay. That would be an interesting,
Yeah.
to look
Yeah.
across that.
Just to
That
touch
ledger.
something else, and
Yeah.
if you look at the actual revenues, you look 1.6, 1.5 million, over $1 million last year. So they're more than 800,000.
From permanent improvement?
Why?
That penny's bringing you over $1 million?
That's good.
Well, in
It's a
2020,
magic
it was a
penny.
little over $1 million. 21 was not. 21 was only 750,000.
This is what it should be.
Some interest income
What are you seeing, Mike?
I'm just looking at the budget.
with, oh, no, we can't get an interest income on the bond.
Maybe that was utilizing
Some
2
are.
pennies. If we,
It's just
It
tax.
could be, I mean,
It was transferred in there.
it was prior to me being in this position.
Yeah.
So,
Are you waiting on? Okay.
No.
no.
All right. All right.
So
well,
that would be the next priority. Back to,
We need to get a
it'd
little
be
bit of
the
grip
3 district courtrooms
Okay.
would be what we would want to tackle next. I think we go ahead and move on completing the 3rd floor courtroom for Child Protective Services. I think we do that in-house. We have a better idea in the next week or so what a true budget will be on that.
Majority.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll do a split in-house,
Yeah.
a lot of it in-house. But it's, I think it comes out far under the 157.
And that one can be started as soon as the
As
clerk
soon as the
moves.
clerk moves, and that's the priority ask of all the judges.
And that's not far off either.
Yeah. And-
That's kind of
we can have that stood up in about a month and a half-ish, I believe. There's not a lot. Yeah, there's not any huge demolition
The
or.
tree would be, but they could start on that relatively quick now.
As soon as they finish
Get
the other courtroom
the
they're
stuff
building.
ordered, get the carpet ordered, get the things ordered so that as soon as the walls get stood up, you can start installing.
It sounds like our auditor might come in here with a torch and a pitchfork, though, if we do that before we finish any other.
A little bit, yes.
But since it's.
I mean, I think we're gonna have money to do this with child support, but as far as the 2 judges' suites that y'all wanna do, I don't know that we're gonna have.
Yeah, no, we're not talking about that. We're
No.
just talking about the.
No, it would be months off from opening those anyway. We'd have to approve project number and get construction documents, et cetera, et
I
cetera.
mean, like years, like we probably aren't gonna be able to do that for another year to 2 years.
Then we
to
wouldn't-
have enough cash for that, so.
Then we wouldn't be able to meet the end of ARPA, would we? If we wait that long?
You are already
Yeah,
spending
we've
all
already
of
spent
it.
Yeah, you spent the ARPA
Okay.
dollars.
So who has my Nerf gun right now to shoot you?
And that's a great point of why I wanted us to have this discussion today is, I mean, some good questions came out
Yeah.
that we all were thinking one thing, and it turns out, even on good news side,
Yeah.
it turns out to,
Yeah.
Yes.
so.
As far as ARPA, we do have till 26 to spend. We just have to have it encumbered by the end of 24, so.
The news is good, let's go dig it.
Yeah.
Quit digging.
So the question would be on the CPS court, since we've got 86,000 coming back into contingencies, do we put that as part of the ongoing project change scope, or do we make it a?
Well, I mean, and I think it might make the most sense at this point to hold off on that, along with, I think it would be good for us to know what that permanent improvement fund is gonna look at before we do
Yes.
any other motion.
Yeah,
Because-
no, I know, we're not making,
Yeah, no,
I'm just
but
trying to,
Because from the
think
standpoint of
of-
like that multi-purpose room up on the 4th floor,
right.
you put that, and if you don't do that, and you've got that 86 coming back, well, now you've got enough to pay for the child protection court. If
Yeah.
permanent improvement fund's wiped out and we really are having to look at priorities, if that's not quite as pressing of an issue because permanent improvement fund is much more flush than we think it is, that changes, in my opinion, that changes how we look at moving forward. But
Yeah.
I'm one opinion.
Yeah.
Okay, and then so let's talk about Iowa Park if we can.
Okay.
So this 948 is the estimate. We've got a project number,
Right.
but we are at
Very
step 1.
beginning,
We're step-
very infant stages of it. There is a drawing back here, very last page, but on the front side of the very last page, of what that is. And so the darker lines, when you're looking at it, are the new and renovated spaces. The lighter lines are existing. So as you're looking at the drawing itself.
So we're essentially renovating
And
No.
75% of the building.
Yes, at least 3/4 of it is being renovated.
I was excited they were.
And again, then if you will look like in your estimates, it is on page 1, 2, 3, the back side of page 3 is the estimates that go into, here's how we put our estimate together for that particular drawing that we've got.
And this estimate includes soft costs included in that 20% number.
It includes some of the soft costs, not 100% of the soft costs. We don't have furniture included in this yet. That would be the soft cost that's out of it. We have contingency,
Tremendous amount of
we have
furniture in it.
A&E fees, I'm sorry?
There's a tremendous amount of furniture in there.
Yes, there is quite a bit of large amount of furniture.
So that's gonna, we definitely need those costs in that. We need to see those costs, you know, kind of up front, what the estimate is, because that furniture in that one will probably raise it by, 20%, maybe more than that.
Linda, how big is that property there that, do you know off the top
Not
of your
very
head?
big.
It's not very
We're pretty
big,
well
because the
positioned.
back side of it,
Yeah,
you're
there's
nearly
half
up
a million
against
at the
property
end.
lines, and the north
It's
side
not
of it,
because
you're on the alley
The
now.
notch that we're gonna fill in is.
Is, that's about all that's left is that little corner.
Again, this Owl Park project is likely to have other funds
Yeah.
intermingled with it.
This is a we pay it all on our
This, we
dime.
paid all our
estimate.
dime, turnkey job,
4-H Association and several others.
4B, Owl Park
are
4B.
interested in it.
So
The,
there's the potential to bring in outside funding.
the project where our current tenants will be moving to is not moving along very fast. I'm not sure. I'll find out the next day or two what's going on, but boy, it's just been stalled out for about a month. And I was getting
And
excited
weather
because
days.
the proposal was midsummer. So.
So we can't do anything until they're,
Well, that's it.
And
And-
Linda, if you were on a game show and had to win
The
100,
price is right.
and you said, I can build you that metal building as it exists, and put the way, instead of remodeling, we just build it the way we want it interiorly, what would that cost be?
For a metal building right now, turnkey, everything, ground up, I would say, total finishes, total everything, you're probably talking $250 to $275 a square foot.
Furnished and all?
No, not furnished.
Turnkey job, 300 to 400?
Yeah,
Okay, now give me that number again. I heard 275, is that right?
That's with not.
I'd say
auctioning.
275 is that unfinished? Basically just a metal structure with a concrete floor?
No.
That's without desks. That's
Finished, not
without-
furnished.
finished, not furnished.
Yes.
I think you could be
Again, turn it upside down and shake it.
$300 a square foot with furnishing is pretty, not bad. 400, you can't do the courtrooms for 300
No.
because they'll want more innate stuff, so you're gonna be at the 400. And at 3 million, that's why I was wanting to know the square footage a while ago, because $3 million on a courtroom space seems like pretty steep.
That's gonna include office for the judge and
It's still
staff.
per square foot space.
I guess that's right, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, there's,
We've got for each of those courtrooms, I've got 6,200 square feet for courtroom and associated judges space. I've got them estimated on the low
6,000
end
square
at
foot.
$350 to $400 a square foot.
350 to 400,
And that's construction, not furnishings.
and that's without furnishing. See, that's pretty, just to share with my commissioners, the reason these numbers concern me when we're not seeing them all is our 12,340 figure today is actually 14,808, which is almost 15,000. If you go just with your paper here from our architect on the GMP figures at 8.5 million, in all reality, we're gonna spend 10.2 million. When you start figuring in all the other fees and everything, it can change that much. So an $8 million fee is gonna change to $10 million. I just think we need to see those numbers up front when we're dealing with them, so we know what we're talking about.
Well, you gotta write the check,
Because
you know.
I don't care, you can't tell me it's gonna be 8 and then I spend 10 and I'm not happy. Can't be happy with that over and over again. It's once to do it one time, but when you see it multiple times, it gets old. So I just
Well,
like
we-
to see it.
when we do the GMP from now on,
We can ask.
Yeah.
Yeah.
we can
Just-
do the GMP plus soft
Yeah.
cost
Yeah.
for a total project value.
Add a line.
add a line.
Well,
That's it.
you don't add the line to the GMP, because that's a separate, that's a different
Right,
contract that
yeah.
stands alone by itself.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I agree.
But when you're approving funds.
No, I get I get what you're saying, and I totally agree with you. That we need to present that up front as part of the overall project, that, just like we did with the jail, we had 70 million, that was the project budget. And everything going toward that project, even though the original GMP was what, 63? And the rest were soft costs associated with
Right.
it. We knew that
Yeah.
going in, and we had allotment buckets for the various soft costs.
A lot of this is about making sure everybody's on the same
Yep.
page. You know,
Yeah,
we
no,
tend to
it-
get to calling things different things, and it's just easier if we all.
It would be
you know,
easier if we did it that way, that anytime we accept a GMP, is that we have a second motion afterwards to approve
The soft
the
cost.
soft
goes
cost
along with it.
budget associated with that GMP.
And we'll also ask the question up front, do you have an idea of what those are gonna be at the time? of the
Yeah,
GMP?
and that's pretty easy to predict. We usually have a pretty good idea going into a project, what,
We have
We roll
recently,
furniture out,
right, we've recently started adding the furniture into, typically, historically, my firm does not add the furniture in because I get paid on a percentage basis, so the furniture is outside of the contract. We've started adding it in because of the ARPA funds, so that it could be part of the
it's
total
integral to the
project.
design of the project.
Yes, because it's, especially like in Tommy's area and stuff, you have to have that. You can't have part of it without that. And so we've started adding it in. But I am not innately familiar with, I can quote you prices for construction things, but furniture is not one of my pieces of
And that brings up the question of, because this came up, I think, my very first court of the year, we were talking about, I think we had that really large furniture, order that we came together. Do y'all go out for bids on furniture suppliers as part of each individual project?
We used to not. We are starting to do that. That's why that one that you did was the first piece that we did that was included in the contract.
And that,
Otherwise, no, we have not done it. Y'all have done it yourselves outside because you can buy it through like buy board.
Yeah,
Or
and that's what that
purchase.
was. That was a federal government contract.
Right.
that one was by board.
No,
Okay.
it wasn't by board, it was
Omnia or one of them, I
Yeah,
don't know.
it's a-
which.
Omnia. It was Omnia,
Okay.
which is a federal government.
I say by board, I mean co-op.
Co-op, gotcha, okay.
But that saves y'all money because A, you're not paying
Sure, we're
my
not putting fees on
on that. While I like that and I do coordinate, but that's just one of the things that I've done over the years for the county, because you're a long-term client, is I'll help coordinate and I help with all that, but then I don't get a fee on it.
But
So there,
that,
Nikki, I don't get paid for that.
that particular purchase was within the project already.
Yeah,
We were
no,
just, we were approving that expenditure
Right.
out of the project.
Right, no,
So,
that wasn't,
Yeah,
I'm
that,
just trying to
that's-
understand the mechanics.
that was a different way, it was the first time we've ever done it that way.
Right.
But that was only because that furniture was integral to the design.
But, and
But like for the furniture that's going downstairs now, that's not,
That's,
while I've worked around it, designed around it, fixed it, I'm not getting a dime for that furniture. No percentage fees on that.
Do we bid, I guess it depends on the amount, like that furniture downstairs, do we bid on that?
we buy it on a, like a buy board,
Co-op.
Omnia, or
Same
co-op,
deal.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right,
Which again saves you even more money there.
okay. I think we can hold off on talking about the garden, I think everyone's brains are probably.
No, that's a wish list
Yeah,
project,
yeah.
but that's contingent on other funds coming to it, so.
Okay. Well, is everyone thoroughly confused?
No, this has been helpful and insightful, and I'd like to see where the dust settles once Cheryl is able to start, we complete some of these and she's able to tag those, I think. But I do think move with caution right now is the best thing for us to do.
Yeah.
Make sure we've got the funds.
And get a couple of them complete.
Yeah.
We want to make our auditor, we want to make her
Yeah.
happy.
And
Thank you, I appreciate that.
when, Jim, on that note that I mentioned, which is definitely a viable option to do, 7 million is the cap, 7 years is the max, but there is also, we have a fee, it's not horrific, but bond counsel is required. So, we have a group that does that, and, but that's what that would entail, but maybe that's a ways off, because if we're having this kind of leftover money,
Glenda, thank you for preparing that, for the time this morning, for answering my probably silly questions at times.
No, anytime.
Then any other comment or public comment on this item? Okay, thank you. All right, that takes us to item number 5, which is now item number 8.
Spend 3 hours on it, right?
Discuss and review personnel policy. Commissioner Mahler is really excited right now.
I am.
Thank you, Glenda.
I've got the extension with the gun.
Unless you want to
This is-
chime in on our personnel
I
policy.
have no concern about personal policy, I'm sorry.
Well, let me gauge the temperature of the court here. It's 11:30 in 2.5 hours.
It's hot.
we want to break for lunch and come back.
Well, or I would prefer to just press through and get it done if we can, but
We can.
because Tanya, we've got 5 pages.
Not much.
There's 4 donut.
Yeah, there's not much left.
Okay.
Oh, that's it?
Can we take a 5-minute break then, and
Yeah.
then we press forward?
Yeah, I might need.
Yeah, why don't
Okay, thank you.
We taking a break?
Yeah.
Are we going?
Not an official one. We're just slowly getting to the next item. Should grab this dinner, just bring it in.
Yeah, they'll disappear. Sure as the world.
Hey, Mel, that's not your, there's another fancy car that's kind of trying to show up the civil division out there in the parking lot. I can't figure out whose it is.
Not mine. I drive a Honda, no, it's not.
It's a Z, something Z. It's 40, like a 370Z. And,
There we go. All right, let's move on to discuss and review personnel policy. Tanya, we're at 607.2.
Point two.
You should have it in your email from yesterday.
Oh, yesterday, okay.
Get it,
I can find it sometime, it just takes me a little
Right around 5 o'clock or a little bit after.
Employees who are absent from work because of a bona fide on-the-job work-related injury for more than 7 days are considered an FMLA if otherwise eligible. What's if otherwise eligible? What's that even mean?
Where are you, Mark? You're skipping.
6.07.1, isn't that where we are?
Okay, yeah.
Yes.
Okay. What does that sentence trying to convey? I know we're on FMLA, but what if
If
otherwise?
eligible, well, we're gonna have new employees who are not eligible, haven't worked for 12 months, they're not gonna be eligible for FMLA. That would be, so we're gonna see if they're an eligible employee for FMLA. Did not read well for you.
I don't understand the word, otherwise just doesn't seem like it fits.
If eligible,
Yeah, if eligible, it's,
We can just put if eligible.
take out otherwise. Yeah.
Okay.
can we just scratch the second bona fide? We've already qualified it as bona fide in the first sentence. Employees who are absent from work because of an on-the-job related injury. It just reads better to me. More than 7 days are considered on FMLA if eligible.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
it just, to me, it reads better.
And if we get to 6.07.2, I have a big question mark by that one.
Well, let's stay right there.
Okay.
All worker compensation claim forms must be submitted to the designated responsible staff member. Who is that?
Right now it's Haley, but.
But we don't, who knows
It's in
who
the
that is?
HR.
Yeah, let's just.
In HR.
Let's just say Mr.
Yeah,
Smith, HR.
please, yeah, that, because no one knows who that is. All workers' comp insurance claim forms must be submitted to the HR office immediately.
And then the HR office.
Can disseminate
Yeah.
it wherever they want it.
Yeah, I don't even know. Does the
Now,
department
do
head
we need to,
need that? I mean, do we need that last sentence?
no,
The responsible staff, or in this case, HR, must notify the department head immediately upon receipt of the claim.
The only, we can adjust it, but just to make sure it says, human resources must be notified immediately. Sometimes we get a workman's comp claim that's, 2 weeks old.
No, for y'all, that's good.
Oh.
I'm good. I'm talking about that last
Yes.
sentence. So now it's going to be HR must notify the department head immediately upon receipt of the claim.
Well, but, I mean.
And that's what I was saying before.
I thought the employee was already required to notify the department head or the elected
Yeah.
official prior to this.
all right,
Well, it doesn't say that.
In prior deal it did, I thought. Well,
They
this
should
is for
notify the
insurance
supervisor
complaint.
first. Supervisor is to sign off on that OJI and forward it to us
Okay.
immediately. But that's not the same.
oh, it could be something as simple as HR shall, well, I had a word and I thought I lost it. Acknowledge receipt of claim.
Well, because the point here was to that very last sentence in 607.1. The point was to make sure that the person's immediate supervisor knew about it. Is that the point?
I thought it was for the immediate supervisor to notify HR.
Then it needs to say the department head must notify the human resources office immediately. Well, because I think this is why right now we have it, so all workers' compensation insurance claim forms must be submitted to the HR office immediately for appropriate action to be taken.
Department head shall submit the workers' compensation claim forms to HR immediately upon.
Yeah, y'all are getting the claim. So this last sentence, the way it reads right now is, then y'all are to notify their supervisor that you've got receipt of the claim. That's the way it's.
That's the
reading
way
right
I
now.
read it right now.
Yeah. No, the department head should be the one notifying you. And
Yes.
we need to back up that sentence.
So the department head must notify HR
Yeah.
immediately.
Yeah.
Good.
All- the department heads shall, or should, may, must, yeah. Department head must submit the designated, or must submit workers' compensation claim forms to HR immediately for appropriate action to be taken. Something like that.
Okay.
Fine.
You're taking out the last sentence and you're adding
Yeah.
in front of all workers' compensation insurance claim forms, something
Well-
along the lines of the supervisor or department head.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we don't need to re-acknowledge that that was done.
Right.
Yeah. Take that last sentence out completely.
Everyone be on your best behavior on council's part.
We use shall and or must in the same sentence.
Shall and or must, maybe might do, if at all possible.
And then you had something on 2 you wanted to talk about?
Yeah, it says an employee who sustains a bona fide on-the-job injury may seek medical attention from the medical facility professional of his or her choice. We don't do that. We send them to our workman's comp.
They still have a choice though, whether, you can choose your own medical treatment.
Well, if we do that, you do run the risk of harder people to, there are people that are in that line of work that just want to work against you.
Because we have 3 facilities in town. I mean, I mean, is that
Well-
illegal? I mean, I realize you can go to your own.
Which section are you on?
607.2 on page 84.
All right,
If you're gonna do that, then they can pick of their choice one of our 3 places. I mean, it's, if you wanna,
You know, but if it's at night and then they have to have it right then, it's gonna be United Regional. If it's during the day, not Friday, then it's gonna be Nova or Clinics in North Texas. So it just kind of depends. I mean, those are our 3 places
Yeah.
that deal with our workman's comp claims. But if we start saying, you can choose whoever you wanna go to, well, my uncle is my family physician, he says I need to be off for a year. And
I mean,
that's what scares me.
some doctors won't touch a work-related injury. I mean, a lot of them are gonna refuse if they're not a comp provider. So it's kind of a challenge. I don't know specifically if you can tell them they can't go to whoever they want, but there's a functional, I mean, there's gonna be a functional limit on that.
yeah. I mean, like last week when we had the wreck up on the highway, if one of my guys felt certain that they needed to go to United Regional in an ambulance, how am I to determine whether that's correct or not?
Well, and
I mean, I could look, I mean, obviously that wasn't the case, but
right, but if they refuse treatment, if they don't wanna go to United Regional, they wanna go to their, you know.
well, what if I was saying, you need to go to Nova because that's our place to go? No, I really think I need to go to the emergency room.
Well, but the emergency is room is one of our providers.
well, what if they just said, hey, I wanna go to Wise Memorial?
Yeah.
Could we have told them no?
I'm in Oklahoma, I wanna go to,
I don't
I
know.
wanna
That's a
go
good
to
question.
Comanche
That's
County.
one I don't know the answer to that.
This one may be a get with the risk management
Yeah.
pool.
Cause I don't know, I mean, they could very well, I wanna go to,
I don't think
Scott
you
and
can-
White.
We want to make sure that we are not infringing on their rights, but at the same time, they do have to be.
Yeah, Wichita County has 3 preferred providers
Does
that,
only take you to like United Regional in an accident?
You can schedule, you could call a different transfer out
Well,
there.
you could.
Transfer to
That-
wherever you want.
Emergency situation.
that accident was in Oklahoma.
Right.
Comanche County could have come pick them up.
Once you get on the
It
bridge.
was actually closer to Wichita County, but Comanche The hospital could have.
I'll call and get clarification. on
Yeah,
that
'cause
one.
that one is a legal question more than I
Okay.
think a preferential question by this body.
And
Yeah.
knowing our work with Sedgwick, they've never turned down because people don't know all the time that they should go to, our other places first. And out of the blue, they go somewhere else, and Sedgwick has always taken care of it. It's so much easier to get the reports and everything from, that's our pipeline, but.
Well, there's a difference in there between dealing with an emergency and then sorting out workman's comp. To me, that's kind of an after the fact deal.
Right.
You know?
And this is
Well,
medical care. This
yeah,
didn't
it
say
does.
emergency care.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's under the
We
workers'
need
compensation
to
section.
craft that where we
Yeah.
have our preferred providers that we will send you to,
Okay.
unless,
I'll get wording from
yeah,
Pat.
yeah, we need to recraft that whole paragraph.
We're dropping on
I
that.
just really don't like using the word bona fide over and over again. It's annoying. If we could put it up at the very first, this, I don't know. I just don't like the word. It's annoying. We know we're talking about an actual injury that was sustained on the job.
And reading this, Mark, with the 2 men that you have, we're gonna go back and adjust, because they should have been using it right away. They wanted workman's comp time, and I even called asking for the button for OJI, which
Yeah.
Leon didn't have. And so this says, no, they're on sick
Sick.
leave, they're on sick leave
For the
until,
7 days.
so we need to fix those on their time sheets.
So I don't think it's an issue, just changing how it's coded on the time clock. Yeah. When an employee sustains an on-the-job related injury,
I took it out for you.
it's annoying.
It's probably unnecessary too.
That's what we're talking about. Six oh seven dot oh four. Do law enforcement ever use sick leave when they're on?
They don't, that's why I was
That's-
confused,
yeah.
because with your guys was kind of new for me, and I thought,
But law enforcement, they don't do that.
No.
I don't think they're required.
no, that's why they did
So
have the
that-
button and time clock.
That whole 607.4 really needs, it's not applicable.
Well, I think it's
It's
clear.
information.
Yeah, because if you don't have it, then 607.3, law enforcement employees are employees.
Yeah.
So it's saying that. And then I understand in the practice they couldn't and they can't, but
And
I think it's okay to have
You
it
can get
there.
a new captain, lieutenant, or whatever in the jail,
Yeah.
and they clock them as sick time, or, this helps the employee, that they know that it's not their sick time.
Okay.
we good through 07.5? All right, so return to work. I didn't see any issues.
I was,
Yeah, Steve never last up. All right, headed on to benefits. 607.9.
That's the, Corey, on 6079, how are we verifying that they're not, that their accruals have stopped?
maybe not hard.
Somebody would have to do that.
Yeah, that's up to their manager. I mean, time log's gonna continue to accrue, that's a manager function at that point. If they go into an inactive status or an unpaid status, which they would, it would stop accruing at that point. So, as long,
But this, okay,
well, the thing is when they go on to workers' comp, unless they're sheriff's office, they go into an unpaid status by the county after that 7 to 6 days.
they do,
So they
Yes,
fall
because
under
they
that
go-
whole
okay,
unpaid status.
because they're getting their pay from work,
Right.
okay.
So they have to reset their whole vacation and everything at that point?
It'd just stop accruing once they go into that unpaid status.
But as soon as they come back, do
Then
they,
we
we
start
follow the
going
same
back.
rule
Do
as we
they
do
have to
with
work the
leave
floor?
without pay, or?
4 40-hour weeks?
Yeah, it's supposed to, they'd have to follow the, I'm not sure, time clock won't change that number, won't change that original date, so a manager would have to go in there and update the date.
I wouldn't, so when we go leave without pay status, we have to reset accruals afterwards. They lose accruals for how long?
You have to work 4 40-hour weeks.
4 40-hour
and you have a
weeks.
new anniversary date.
But the way this is reading, we're applying that same rule to anyone that goes out on workers' comp. Is that what we want to do? I don't think that's fair.
But you won't be punching time clock. will
No,
you?
I know, you stop the accruals while they're off, but, or do you stop the accruals
See, that's-
while they're
Well-
off? I mean, it's not, if you're,
Until you hit FMLA, you wouldn't stop them, right? I mean, I could draw vacation and my sick time.
but
If you're in a paid status.
Can I receive
why,
both?
why do we drop them out of a, I know we're not paying them, but why do we drop them out of a paid status? Because they are being paid.
I'm wondering though, they are in a
They
paid
are.
status, just not by us, but they don't accrue sick
We
and
need,
holiday.
we need to keep them in a paid status, even though we're not providing the paycheck.
The pay. And they don't, because they're not working, they're not getting the vacation and sick leave accrual.
Why?
Well, because they're not on our payroll.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
So-
somebody could stay out on it 6 months, Mark.
I get that,
Why
but,
would we give them benefits?
because
for
they
it?
got hurt on the job? Because they could have got hurt, no fault of their own, in a total accident and are out for several months. Why would we suspend their ability to gain benefit?
Well,
Sure,
why would we
we don't
encourage it?
understand.
Why would we encourage it too?
Yeah.
Well, I don't think you're encouraging it, you just,
But you're.
they're still on a paid status. They're just not being paid by Wichita County.
But you're not working those holidays, you're not working the vacation, you're not.
Well, you're not getting holiday pay, but why would you not continue to accrue?
Holiday pay is working the holiday.
Well, we've got a holiday rule too, that you gotta be present before and after the holiday. You can't be on.
I just wouldn't think that we would accrue those at the point where they come off of our payroll and start someone else's payroll. Why would we continue to let those banks accrue
They're,
at that point?
well, we're not paying them with a check from Wichita County, but we are paying in to make that happen, that they are getting a check. Or at a minimum, why would we make them go back to that 4-week test?
Well,
or
I think the
period
4-week test is a different thing.
Yeah.
I think what we're all saying, or not all, I don't speak for everyone, but yeah, I don't think that they should accrue vacation and sick leave while they're not working. But I don't think that they should have to go through
Go
the
through the
Restart their
4-week.
restart
anniversary day.
when they come
Right,
back.
so we
Okay.
can add the exception here that says that they don't have to do the unpaid, they don't have to wait for 4 weeks. We can just add that sentence to
Yeah,
this, so
okay.
they would accrue immediately as they came back to work.
I would be happy with that.
Okay.
I'll compromise and move on.
Okay,
We need this
All right.
spotlight when Cheryl goes on.
Yeah, you startled us.
The voice from above.
Wasn't it Jeff who called in that first day?
Yeah.
No, we need that light, that.
Don't scream at us anymore.
We'll receive
We
it.
can get that.
Your volume is quite good.
Yeah, it's very good.
Yeah, if we can fix that, I'll be quiet.
Okay, I got it.
Okay.
Maximum duration of injury leave is 84 days. How is that determined?
However, yeah, we still
How's-
have people, you know, they're in workman's comp status, but they've returned to duty, light duty, with restrictions. I can't think of anybody who's gone more than that.
Is that statute or is that policy?
I don't know where that one came from.
I've never heard that in statute any
It might be a
classes.
tax policy. I'll find out though, if it's from,
Cause
We already checked
we
into this
accept
84
it.
days on something else.
If we're making exceptions to it, then
I thought we did.
You want that?
I don't know that I understand that, where that's coming from, generated from,
Okay.
the why.
I'll find out.
Okay. So,
Need you to read a little faster tomorrow.
I'll make sure we get it right. I don't wanna have to go back and redo this again.
I like your optimism that we're ever gonna finish it. To go back to it. So, all right, so
That's like what-
We're 2 county judges, 3 HR directors, and 6 ADAs into this. It's,
12 weeks?
It is,
Yeah,
it's
it's
12
totally
weeks.
all right, benefits continuation 60711.
Might have to do with FMLA, sorry, I know you're going forward, but I'm just saying, since it's the same 12 weeks, it
Yeah.
might be that.
I bet that's right, but you'll just double
I'll
check.
check.
84 days must be what TAC covers them?
I don't know, but I'm saying that's 12 weeks.
that's 12 weeks, 84 days is 12 weeks of FMLA.
FMLA.
Okay. I think it's a federal time.
I think that's a federal, I agree.
Mhm. I will verify.
But where is the cap? So if after 84 days, the employee may continue the coverage under COBRA indefinitely?
No, 18 months, you can do COBRA, I believe, for 18 months.
You can't afford Cobra, but for 3 though.
By design.
I've got a question, 60712, or act of a third party for personal reasons. So a third party comes into the courthouse with a knife or gun or whatever and does harm and causes injury. That person has a personal reason. Are we saying we're not going to cover that?
Which one are you looking at?
That's
12.
60712. I don't understand what the act of a third party.
I think what this might be like a continuation of a domestic dispute type issue, or
I think that's what it's
Yeah.
saying.
What is a third
After
party?
a third party, somebody comes in and injures you because that's your personal business, you got injured at work.
why is that the second?
Federal law.
Why is it a third?
FMLA is 12.
Well, because the
Right.
Unless
county
you're a military
employee,
caregiver,
that
that's
would be the
okay.
third,
Okay, okay.
third
Or you're
person.
T-boned in a wreck going to work. That
Well,
wouldn't,
That's not an intentional, I mean, unless
No.
that person was trying to T-bone you because they're mad at you for beating them in a poker game.
but I don't get workman's comp headed to work, do I? Or getting T-boned at the intersection and being sent to the hospital?
You're probably not in the course and scope of your work
Okay.
at that point.
If you're in the company vehicle driving to work.
Question, that's a
If it's
legal
past
question.
your time,
That
maybe.
question
I
could be.
just don't like the wording of that, because you could interpret that in many ways.
What
I
are
know-
personal reasons?
Yeah, what are personal reasons?
I find it confusing because it does almost start getting into third party injury, like a negligence, something that happens to you while you're on the job. I know it's
Wife came in and hit you with a frying pan.
it's weird.
I think that's what it's written there for. I think that's what they're getting at in this
Right.
statement. It's a domestic dispute, but in the case of, hey, my spouse just got sent to
It's not well worded.
TJR.
No, but it does say for personal reasons, so that kind of.
Well, you're mad at the judge for sending your spouse away for 20 years, and you come in, that's a personal reason,
Yeah,
and you do harm to the judge's secretary.
it might be best to take that out and
Maybe we
then,
could just, maybe we could just reword it.
well, to leave it for workers' I mean,
For them to
the
figure out.
negotiation, the stuff that's happening behind the scenes on that.
Well, the horseplay,
Yeah, well, I get horseplay.
intoxication, which I guess we got other areas where we address that. The third party deal just doesn't.
I don't like it.
Well, it's kind of covered when it says, or attempt to injure self or unlawfully injure another.
Yeah, there you go. That covers it. I just, that's just problematic to me. Not that we would interpret it that way, but you could. It just muddies it up.
Injuries caused by horseplay, willful intent, and attempt to injure self or to unlawfully injure another, or intoxication are excluded specifically from coverage by injury leave with pay.
If you get drunk and fall down, you're not gonna be covered.
Well,
This is an Andy
so,
Griffith episode.
That's
you know, one thing here.
There wasn't one. Otis, City County, right.
Well, let me ask you, so if I was an employer and I had workman's comp, I'm not able to file on that workman's comp as the employer. So as elected officials, and I just assume this, but you know, in 18 I dropped a big heavy thing on my foot at Electra and never thought anything about it. It still hurts when the weather changes, but I just assumed we can't do that. That doesn't.
You're correct, you cannot.
Okay.
You are not an employee by definition. And
Okay.
you don't have required work hours, you get paid whether you show up or not, so.
Gotcha.
You should use that. I'm not gonna go work anymore.
Because that's
Now,
not
you might
gonna
not
get,
get reelected.
that's not gonna get any better, Jim, I can tell you that. You'll know with the co-branch.
You're right.
All right, go good to status reporting.
We need to leave that notified in there, because that one sounds good.
Oh,
Sorry. Gotta have a little bit of cheerfulness.
Any change in the employee's condition which might affect his or her entitlement to workers' compensation payment.
Now, Tanya, what happens, let's say that I'm put on light duty and I don't have light duty.
If you're not working.
But can I go to the convenience store and run the cash register?
Okay, this came up with, a patrol officer who, well, it wasn't workman's comp, it was FMLA. And he was working security somewhere, but took FMLA because they were having a baby. And he was allowed to work in another place and still be off work with us. So I'd have to check on that workman's comp. I don't think for workman's comp, because, we had an incident where a lady was on workman's comp and workman's comp leave, and she was taking an exercise class, and it was cut off immediately. So,
We had a situation where I had one of my precinct, the 3 guys that had to be on light duty. We didn't have anything that fit the deal, so he came and worked for the maintenance department during that time.
well, and I'll
Changing
tell you,
light bulbs.
questions like that for specific cases, we will call Sedgwick and they will give us a ruling
Yeah.
really quickly.
He came up here and helped for several weeks, and he came back on
Mhm.
regular duty.
Just personal preference for readability on 6/7/14. Can we take all the his or her and supervisor, department heads and all that and condense it to there and just call them all supervisors instead of department heads,
Yeah.
supervisors, and
You're getting into some grammar wars there.
you would take about half that paragraph out.
Or does it?
Yeah.
Because his or her designated supervisor and or designated person to report to thereof.
Man.
And, yeah.
They and there. Or,
And
Great to get
I would wanna take out this, in addition, the injured employee must contact his or her. We contact the supervisor and it's medical, it should stay with us, but we get an update every time they go to the doctor. We get that report and then we contact the supervisor.
then let's take it out.
I agree with that, Tanya. Any direct, really should just come to you anyway.
Yes. Yeah.
All right.
So you could take out that sentence and.
So you're the designated person and or supervisor or department head.
Well, they can just, must provide a progress report to Human Resources Office.
Yep.
And if we haven't received it, because we know when their next visit is to the doctor, and if we don't know and we haven't, then we start calling and we'll get the report. So, and sometimes they don't come.
Thank you.
All right. 6.08 workplace violence prevention. It all looks good to me.
Should elected officials be included with employees, supervisors, and temporary employees on point 2? Or do the people not have to be courteous to elected? You think I'm not really joking? There's a reason I asked that question.
Yeah.
So we got here.
Yeah, I think that just like Jeff's question earlier, we already
Go
separated.
ahead and done. That's what Be courteous. No fighting or horseplay. We are.
So that means I can still shoot you with my Nerf gun.
Employees are permitted to keep a legal gun in their locked vehicle in county parking lots.
That's state law.
It's state law.
All right. Prohibited conduct.
Commissioner Finnegan is prohibited from being uncourteous to.
On 608.3, this prohibition includes all acts of harassment, and then including harassment that's based on those federally designated classes.
Yeah.
That all acts of harassment is in the eye of the beholder, isn't it?
It's always been a problem, but how do you describe harassment?
That's not under a federally
That's not
protected
federally
class.
protected. Yeah, and, you know, if it's a federally protected class, we really wouldn't, but we have had people file a complaint and claim they've been harassed, where I think, really? And that just takes mediation. I think there's always, you're gonna have to do something, anytime someone's filed, you have to do something, and that solves it.
That's not all the federally protected classes, race, sex, and age.
Sex, race,
Or
age.
any characteristic protected by federal state.
Yeah,
So why don't we just,
Say, protected by-
individual protected by
By,
federal protected
some
classes?
individuals.
Instead of listing them out when we don't have a complete list.
Including,
harassment that is based on any characteristic protected by federal, state, or local law.
There you
He's
go.
saying get rid of the.
yeah,
Yeah.
any characters. Okay, got it.
Was that subject to change?
Well, that way it does cover any time
Yeah.
the law changes.
Because it does, I mean,
Yeah.
that's a moving target.
Yeah.
I mean,
All right, reporting 608.4.
So somebody called me an old
So-
goat.
So my only question on this is, if there's actual violence, do you really want somebody to run to their manager to report it, or you want them to call law enforcement?
it says as soon as possible, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, should we
mean,
not?
I think I mean, we would like them to probably tell them at some point.
Yeah.
To report at some point, but, I mean,
Well, then you go to 6.05, do not place yourself in peril. If you hear a commotion or see this, try not to intercede and see what's happening. We're to report as soon as possible, our supervisor. Should we not report as soon as possible to law enforcement? If there's something like that going on? Not,
Oh, good.
I gotta go find my supervisor, so hold on a minute. Y'all stop fighting in the hallway.
Yeah.
you might want to
Or call
rethink how you
security.
have that. I don't know. That's up to you guys. I mean,
You just want to get rid of her actual.
No, honest, if violence is occurring, you shouldn't be waiting to call your supervisor, or looking for your supervisor. You should be calling security, supervisor and or security as necessary.
This is not saying you
Yeah.
shouldn't call and,
No.
this is not saying you shouldn't call
It's just-
I
law
get
enforcement
that.
to stop the violence. It's just saying you're reporting to the county should follow this.
Because
Yeah.
your supervisor might need to know from the standpoint that person might
I
be coming
get
back.
that.
Or,
I get that. You need to tell your supervisor, but
I kind of struggle with the line of, if you see or hear a commotion or disturbance near your workstation, do not try to intercede. That's pretty broad. You would hope that, depending on the circumstances, that, I don't know,
Well,
that
that's-
kind of bothers me on both sides a little bit.
Kind of.
I understand what they're going for.
Part of not being a victim though is trying to act and.
Yeah.
But let's say a irate customer comes in there and kind of has a shouting match with Annette, and the clerk way down on the end of the room picks up and calls security, and they come up there and tackle that person, giving Annette, and Annette was just she's feeling fine and frisky and having her conversation. I mean,
it's happened several times when we've had people come into our office, especially when we had whoever was our secretary of the month up at the front.
right.
And I would hear a commotion and I'd go up there to make sure that they were okay, and then we'd call security and have it dealt with. That happened multiple times.
I don't know why I kind of have a problem with do not try to intercede, because if you do try to intercede, helping somebody, well, you're violating your county policies, so you can be disciplined.
or
Yeah.
see what happened. What's the way it's pretty broad? It says or see what's happening.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know where you draw the line on that. If you like just crouch by the door and listen to them
Knocking
yelling.
somebody's coffee cup over.
So somebody's out there,
That's a pretty broad deal.
Somebody's back screaming at Morgan and yelling at her. I'm not
I mean,
gonna let her.
I'm not even gonna.
That's against our policy,
well,
sorry.
you're elected official, so you don't count anyway. But
I'm gonna hope somebody comes to rescue.
You would hope you could de-escalate. I mean, that's
Yeah.
what you try to do
That's-
first.
That's what we've done.
I think the point here is to not make any employee feel pressured to get involved in a situation they're not.
Yeah.
But
Good point.
it'll also bring up the,
I mean, isn't there kind of a new mode of like what with the active because of the active shooters?
Yeah,
So
don't
this
be
policy
victim.
really wasn't built for
Right.
when we've had as much of that and that kind of stuff. And so I think don't they have the new like what is it, the hide, run,
fight.
whatever they call it, fight or whatever they call it. That's kind of feels like that's what this is sort of treading into.
Well, I think when you get into like an active shooters deal, all bets are off. I mean, that's a complete different scenario with its own
And maybe
guidelines.
You know, do not place yourself in peril. I can see that for employees, but.
How about remain vigilant and aware of your surroundings, but do not place yourself in peril?
Good,
you
good,
know,
good enough.
That sounds
But
good.
Corey,
Yeah.
he gets, say Corey gets in a big fist fight out there,
He always does.
and you wanna see what's going on, and then you decide, hey, I just wanna watch.
It's just Corey only.
You want to find who's holding the bets, you know?
I'm gonna be honest with you, if somebody comes into my county auditor's office and is throwing a fit with all those ladies up in there, I am putting myself in peril.
Yeah, and I think
And
that's
I think
That's it.
leave in there,
I
don't
think
leave
all
it
of
in
us
there.
would.
I don't think that leave it in peril even deserves to stay.
I don't either.
I don't want to discuss,
I'm not.
I don't want to discourage anybody from, once again, trying to de-escalate, trying to step in and,
So we
you
just-
know, I would hate to think we didn't back one another up, but still, you can get in real.
so I think 608.5 just ends after that first sentence.
Gotcha.
Reported, that's what we're talking about.
Okay.
You did good.
As with anything, doesn't the Commissioners Court have discretion on when to enforce something and when not to? In
We
this
do, but if we
particular
write it in
document?
policy, it's
It's not a good
implied that
practice.
that's, yeah.
Let's just,
Well, the First Amendment guys would tell you these policies don't matter anyway, so.
No,
do
but
whatever
when you
want
write it in
to.
policy, you're intending to enforce it at some point, and
all right, investigation. 1 page left, everybody.
Okay.
I think we do a great job with that. I think Tanya's right on top of that. If anything comes up, doesn't have to be necessarily even violence, it just, any kind of.
I'm gonna preempt Mark here. Actual violence investigation
Actual violence.
it is weird to have it here.
We probably don't do enough fire drills or emergency drills. I don't know that we've done one in a year.
No.
I remember one that in the time I've been here.
in fact, with all the construction going on, as many times as the fire alarms have gone off, if they would go off right now, no one would do anything.
It's like
You're
the boy
right.
that cried wolf.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You're right.
we're at that point now.
Well, hopefully we can get past that and get settled because,
You might,
You know,
I'm
that's-
outside.
you know, that goes back to that active shooter deal and what
And
little access I've had to some of those, you know, demonstrations is, one of the big problems you have in that is people don't really know, they can't recognize it.
Yeah.
Because you don't hear it every day.
Yeah.
And you hear
You're
something,
really
you
not
think,
expecting it.
yeah, what was that? Well, when you need to be able to recognize what you're dealing with, and that's always the problem with those, you know, those. But I don't know that everybody in this building knows where they're supposed to go.
No, and we've had 2 bomb threats and 2 fires in
Yeah.
this building since I've been here.
I remember going out on a bomb threat.
I will say that there has been talk, and I don't know how much of this, if any, is reflected in the policy about how the way that most fire drills are done are kind of being disfavored because if the active shooter pulls the fire alarm, everybody knows go to one area, that's
Yeah.
where they're gonna go shoot,
sets
and it's
you up,
like
yeah.
a setup for it, and so there's almost been talk of, well, maybe everybody should do almost more like a scatter drill and just leave out.
So
Yeah.
that's a good point. Let's add this because we were gonna come back and talk security in
Yeah.
closed session with, that would be a good item to
Yeah,
add to that.
and Jim, we talked about, or we investigated, you know, let's say Annette gets somebody outside her office, that really traps us in, and now we've even had change to the plan that whatever stairwell, maybe at the end or here, whatever, we went down and it dumped into the sally port, and so we made sure that the sheriff kept that sally port door unlocked, so we weren't trapped in that stairwell. and now there's nobody down there to monitor
I'd be
that.
afraid to go try it right
Yeah.
now, but I'll bet you.
But, you know, it's just having that plan. But I've always been of the nature, like Mel said, where I think somebody's doing something to get me to go to a place. I had to stay when I was a kid at a big place by myself, and I came back from the movies with my girlfriend and realized that the alarm had went off several times at this place, and I called the owner's son, and they said, "Oh, yeah, we've been having trouble all night with that deal. Don't worry." And I thought, first thing I thought of is somebody's up on the chimney dropping stuff in. The motion detectors are going off, and as soon as the law quits responding, then they're going to attack me. That's the first thing went through my mind. It was on purpose.
We're to the point right now, nobody pays
No.
any attention to a car alarm.
No.
anymore. I mean, they'd be sitting out there going off for 10 minutes. It's annoying, but nobody gets
Right.
excited. And that's kind of where we put ourselves. But I think you're right.
So we're gonna wait on the whole
That is-
emergency evacuation?
Yeah, that.
What?
We're gonna wait on the whole.
Do we just,
Because that's,
Yeah,
yeah,
take
that's
it-
getting into the.
do we take it out of policy and have a separate standalone for security at all?
Let's, oh, go ahead,
We
Cheryl.
should probably,
Yeah, and that not be part of personnel policy?
right, I mean, this should be an internal memo when we change these all the time, that doesn't actually have anything to do with the personnel policy.
Yeah.
That's good.
I think that.
I agree, that's more on line what we did
I would
today,
say that's
because
cool. Every campus had their own evacuation procedures, so.
Yeah, you're in
Correct.
several different buildings.
we're publishing the fact of where everybody's gonna go if the
Well,
fire
yeah.
alarm gets pulled.
Right.
And
right.
So if there's a fire alarm and we've got the gunmen waiting outside, they know exactly which entrances and exits they should be at.
Well, they're gonna know who's coming out of, that more importantly, they know exactly who's coming out of which entrance and exit.
Exactly.
And they know where they're
That's not
supposed to
really something
assemble.
we need to publicize.
Well, plus it says use the stairs because the elevators do not work.
Good idea.
Can we build it to the P2?
That'll work. No, I'd say
We'll
pull
be
that
ready.
out.
Yeah,
Every
so
day.
we're gonna pull out 609.
About 3 o'clock, we'll ring the bell.
And so
And make
the
that,
NXC goes with it, and then we also have a bomb threat procedure that I don't think anybody keeps on their desk or
But
by
that-
their phone or under their phone. So,
but that all needs to go into security,
Yeah, I-
a separate security policy.
Yeah, we should have a discussion on that.
Do we now have a working PA throughout this entire building?
Believe it or not, we do.
we
The
did.
security officers have used it before.
Okay.
But we used to, their announcements for court or whatever would come over. We
I
quit
actually
doing that.
think it's hooked in with the phones, but Sonia Arias can tell you how it works.
It is, I don't know if it works
And
everywhere.
we probably ought to test it every once in a while, and so people.
Somebody needs to learn how to operate it.
Do you know, Brendan? Do you?
I don't, I'll have to look into that.
Is there any public comment on this item? All right. Then, believe it or not, we're to the last item, number 9, which is an announcement. Courthouse will be closed on Monday, February 20th in observance of President's Day. Commissioners' Court will not be held on Tuesday, February 21st. There will be a special session held on Friday, February 23rd. Okay, it is 12:26 p.m. and this meeting is adjourned.
Mileage today, you know, it's not